Hey, what's going on? It's Keith with
When
Off
Brian
the Map.
Harris. Yeah, you fucked that up. Let's go ahead
I don't
and
know.
redo that over
It's Keith
again.
Miller with Off the Map Podcast. I'm here with
Brian Harris and our special guest, Mr. Nick Grass. Nasty Nick Grass.
Nasty Nick Grass.
Yes.
What's going on?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Thank you for coming on. You were one of the, so whenever Keith and I were talking about like eventually getting guests on and everything, you were one of like the first people that came up in our mind as far as like guests we want to have. And that's just because like of your background, you have a lot of interesting stories that you've told us, but then also just the person that you are today as far as like how humble you are, how nice you are and caring, and I don't know, you're just an all-around good dude, and I admire you, so I'm really happy to have you on today, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So I want to start from the beginning. So where are you from?
Excelsior Springs, Missouri.
So you've been kind of in like the Kansas City area like your whole life.
I grew up in this area. Like, I've moved in all different areas, but Excelsior's where I grew up at. So.
Right on.
Is that a big town? Because remember, I'm not from Kansas City. So.
No, it's not. It's about 15,000. It's probably about 30 minutes outside of Kansas City. So.
Okay.
A little north of Liberty. So, but it's a small town. It's an interesting town.
So I know, I'll let you go first.
So you kind of like grew up in that area. Did you stay out in that area, or you came out more Kansas City, or what did that look like for you as far as like the progress out more here?
Well, basically I just lived in Excelsior, and then when I got older, I moved with my real dad and stayed in Lee Summit for a little bit. Then just as I got older, kind of bounced around just wherever I could stay at. But
How old were you when you went to Lee Summit?
I was probably I started going up there when I was about 15. I really didn't know who my dad was for a while. It was kind of later on in life I met who he was and started going up there, and things kind of got interesting after that. So
what was that relationship like whenever you finally met him? Because
how
did you feel about him whenever you finally met him? I mean,
it was kind of weird. Like my parents, the ones that raised me, my mom, and she married a really good guy. He was my stepdad, but I mean, he's always been my dad since I was like 4.
Yeah.
And I always had a different side of the family, and it was always kind of confusing for me. Like, I didn't really get it, but I really didn't know who my dad was. My mom would take me over there for holidays and everything, and it was just kind of a weird situation. Like, I remember I was pretty young, and I was on the phone with him for Christmas, but it's like I didn't even really know who I was talking to. You know, it's like it was weird. But my mom and my dad were getting ready to go on a vacation, and they didn't know where I could stay while they were gone, and they just happened to run into him at a restaurant. My mom's like, "Well, can you watch Nick while we go out of town?"
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And that's where it all got started.
So for you, that's whenever it like clicked, like, oh, this is my dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was just kind of a confusing, weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like no one kind of sat you down and explained it to you, and it was just like something that was like eased in.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. And it was like, and then when I went to stay with him, it's just like I've never even really been around you. Like I remember when I was young, like I was little, and
Motherfucking phone.
Yeah.
I remember going over there, but it was just a weird situation. Like he was going through a divorce with his wife that he had at the time, so he was staying at my grandparents'. So it was like me and him at my grandparents' house, and it was kind of awkward, you know.
Right. When because my dad wasn't in my life. I told the story before, but long story short, I was 11 years old. All of a sudden, we're flying to Connecticut to get a paternity test. This guy that looks just like me is like, "Hey, I'm your dad." He fed me like a bagel, got me like a pizza that night, and I never saw him again. And then at 14, I got in trouble, and my mother called him and was like, "You need to discipline your son." And I was like, "Hey, motherfucker, I don't know who you are, but don't fucking ever talk to me again because you're a stranger to me." So at 15, when you meet this gentleman who's your dad, what was your feelings towards him?
It was just, I was confused. Like, you know, I didn't really understand what happened between him and my mom. You know, I was too young to even really know what happened, but you know, it was a toxic relationship to begin with, you know, so it all worked out for the best for me, but when I got there, it was just like, it was almost like being like a friend, trying to be a friend with somebody at first, you know, like you don't know how you connect with this person. And it's just like, it was so strange. And like the story that I have from there was like, he was already messing with another girlfriend that he had. And we were getting ready to go to the movies. And this is the first time I've ever really hung out with him as I'm like 14 or 15. So like, we're getting ready to go to the Ameristar, and we get in the car, and it's me, my cousin, and his girlfriend at the time. And we get ready to leave, and it's like we passed his ex-wife. And it was just like, boom, right out the get-go. Like, his ex-wife turned around. They're over there arguing and stuff. And I'm like, man, what is going on?
The
like,
fuck is happening?
Like, because at my other parent, like, at my house, like, with my mom and my dad, like, it was strict living, you know? Like, this is how it was going to be. Like, and then when I went there, it was just like, whoa. There is a different life around, you know? It was just...
I kind of picked up on how your mom was, like, as far as, like, strict living goes. Like, whenever you posted on Facebook a while back, it was, like, a picture of you, but all of your tattoos were photoshopped out. And you're like, my mom paid for my Christmas photo. I have all my tattoos photoshopped out.
I came home from prison, and it was, like, right before the holidays. And so she wanted to get Christmas pictures taken, like, right away with me, my daughter, my brother, my sister. And it was like I came home, and I got tattoos that I didn't have when I went in, so she wasn't used to it at all. Like, she had them photoshopped, but
did she already? She knew that you had them already, right? Like, she visited you. I'm sure.
She came and see me when I was there, and that
like,
was
how the fuck are you getting these tattoos? You're like,
how old were you when you went in, and how long was your sentence?
Well, first time I ever got in trouble, I was like 16. We were out drinking, and one of my buddies got in a car wreck. There was like this little hut kind of thing, and we basically just broke in just to use the phone, but there was like a laptop or something. I don't even remember the whole situation, but I ended up getting in trouble for breaking in. We used the phone, like they had record that we were in there, like who we called, and so that was like my first.
So wait, you guys got into a car wreck?
My buddy got in a car wreck. We were all going out to a back road. You know, like just. That's the only thing that was to do when we were kids, like in high school. Yeah. We'd go out to a country road, just back road, get drunk.
Field party.
Yes. Plenty of those. And my buddy had flipped his car, and...
So you guys weren't calling the cops. You were calling
we did have to call the cops because, I mean, the whole car was flipped upside down. Like we were in a country, we had no cell service, and that's the only thing that we really could do. We got the beer out of the car and threw it over in the ditch, and then we by the time the cops got there, you know, they figured out my buddy had been drinking. He ended up getting in trouble, and the next day at school, like the cops already knew that somebody had broke in. Well, they had wrote the license plates down of all the vehicles, and it was just like one person after another and going in the office getting questioned. Well, I was like, man, I gotta get out of here. Yeah. So I had somebody check me out of school, and at the time I wasn't living at home. I was living like in these apartments with my girlfriend that I had at the time. So I went over there and hung out, called the school, checked a couple other buddies out. We're all just sitting there. I ended up falling asleep on the couch, and it was like boom, boom, boom. You hear a beat on the door. I'm like, oh no, like
that's not good.
What's going on? Like, my buddy opens the door, and he's like, hey man, the cops are here and they want to talk to you. I'm like, oh no, I don't know,
I'm not here.
And I walk outside, and my mom's out there, and she just lights me up. Just, what are you know what I mean, just
going
with the
fuck
mom
off.
You know, doing the mom act. And it was just like, that was like my first little bit of trouble. I had to deal with like probation, and it was just, you know, like, and at the time, like, I remember I was in wrestling, so it was like the principal we had at the time was like a wrestler, and he he was trying to do everything he could to help me out, like set me down, gave me the speech, you know, but at that point I didn't really care, you know. I was just at a turning point in my life there.
So what I don't understand at the moment is that, so you grow up with these strict parents. It sounds like you had a good foundation originally with your mom and your dad,
Yep.
and then you meet your biological father. So did you run away from home? Like, why do you have your own apartment at this point?
Yeah, were you
Well,
like
no,
emancipated
no,
or
it was
what?
just in between like my freshman and junior year. I just started getting in a little bit more trouble each time. Like when I go up there, it was a different world. Like, you know, like I said, it was more like a friendly kind of thing instead of a father-son relationship. Like I could go there, you know, I could smoke cigarettes. You know, I had stepsisters, I had friends that we could go drink. You know, instead of me being stuck at home where I couldn't do anything. Like I could go there every other weekend, and I had a little bit more freedom. You know, that's where it kind of all blossomed. Like everything started coming together for the worst part for me, because it's like, well, if I can't do this here, then I can just wait and I'll go do this, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, I had more freedom there. I had more, you know, it was just a different world. It was a different atmosphere. Like I didn't have all the rules that like I did at home. So whenever I had that freedom to do whatever, it was like a dog off the leash, you know? It was, how far can I take it, you know?
Yeah, no, I was in the same realm as you. Obviously, we came from different backgrounds, but, you know, because my mother was a registered nurse, so she would work 12, 16-hour shifts. And I started drinking when I was 12, 13. So there was always kids in the neighborhood that we were all friends with, but then one of my best friends and his brother, who's a really, really close friend of mine too, when I was a freshman, he was a senior or junior. So they were like already getting into liquor and everything. Yeah. So I would hang out with them and to be around the girls who were drinking and partying. I just wanted to be around females. You know, I was always hanging out with them and getting in trouble. And my mother would never know because she was never there. So I get the appeal, especially that young, of what it's like to party and be around females and whatever happens in those scenarios. You know what I mean? Like it's a fun time. Yeah. You know.
So you move out of your mom's house, living on your own, living in an apartment with your girlfriend, and you're starting to get in trouble.
Yeah, me and my mom we just couldn't see eye to eye. It was just constantly butting heads. Like if I didn't, you know, if everything had to be by the rules with her, and it was just like I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I was just that rebel teenager, just thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
Like me and my mom got in a fight over the stupidest thing. I think it was something to do with my girlfriend at the time smoking cigarettes. Like. That's how minute this thing, and I was just like, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm gone. Like, I packed my bags and moved. Like, I didn't even have a job. Like, I had no way to support myself or nothing. And, like, I ended up moving in with my girlfriend and her mom. She was, like, a single mom at the time. And,
how old's your girlfriend?
Like, we were young. Like, I was only, like, 17, you know, and she was, like, a few years younger than me. So it's like.
She had a kid?
No, we didn't have no kids.
Oh, okay.
No, but, like. Okay. There was I shouldn't have been ever living with anybody at that young. You know what I mean? Like now that I have kids, it's like, there's no way. Like my daughter's 12. Like there's no way in 4 years her boyfriend's going to come over and stay at the house with us. Like, there's no way that's going to happen.
Like that's not happening.
And it's just looking back at it now, it's like, man, what happened?
Fuck was going on?
Yeah, like it's just crazy. Like I should never been allowed to even be over at my girlfriend's house like that, but it was just, you know, everybody's different. Everybody has a different parenting style, and it's like, you never know. But yeah, that's how. And like, I didn't have a job, no way to take care of myself or nothing. Like, I lived with this, you know, for I don't know how long. It was like a few months. Well, then we ended up splitting up. Well, her sister and her brother-in-law had an apartment in the same complex, and they're like, hey, we know you ain't got nowhere to go. Like, you can stay with us for a little while.
Yeah.
And, like, if it wasn't for them, like, I know for sure I wouldn't have graduated my senior year because at this time I was a senior. And it was just, like I didn't care. Like, I lost all hope for myself, basically. Like, I was messed up all the time. Like, I'm coming to school either half drunk from the night before, you know, popping pills. Just.
So you were partying, like, every single day at this point.
The party never
stopped. Once you got out of mom's house, you're like, it's fucking game on.
Yeah, the party never stopped for me. It was just like I said a minute ago, it was just like the dog off the leash. Like I'd never had freedom. Like, and
now you have all the freedom.
Yeah. It was just, but they kept me straight. Like they had already graduated. They were a few years older than me. They had already graduated,
and clearly they care about you if they're willing to take
they
you
were
in.
like really good people. Like,
yeah,
and it was just they helped me out, like kind of helped me get back good with my parents, like because like the only job I really ever had was working with my dad, you know, in the summers or on the weekends or whatever. You know, I might do yard work for my mom here and there, but that was like the only really job that I ever had, and they kind of helped me get back in good situation with my parents. Kind of got my job back, was working a little bit, and then like, you know, they had just been recently married and everything, and I was getting ready to graduate, so I was like, man, I got to get out of here. And like, so I went from living with them, where I kind of had like a good set of rules, like
stable
I had
home.
You know, it was exactly stable. Like they helped me out, and it was just like I went from there and went to like a buddy's. Like he was graduating, like his mom was never really home. His grandma lived at the house, and we could do whatever we wanted out
and
there.
At the time,
and it was like
out
in country. It was a like nice little house. Like they had a swimming pool. It was just like a resort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just I lived there, and once we moved there, man, it was just the party never stopped. Like it was just constant. Like, and it just got worse and worse and worse. You know what I mean? It went from just smoking weed and drinking beer, you know, then we're doing cocaine every night, and it just kept on rolling. Like and this lasted for a few months.
So you're like working full time and doing all this at this point, right?
I'm trying to work, but it's like I didn't even go to sleep the night before. I'm going all night partying.
Because have you graduated at this point yet?
I did graduate.
Okay, so you graduated.
Like right after I graduated, I moved out there, like, and it was just
on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, like you just graduated. I ended up having my like whatever party, the graduation party.
Yeah.
Well, like
those are the best.
Yeah, man, it's like you got your family giving you money. There's, you know, but at the same time, they don't have a clue of what is going on with you. You know what I mean? Like I'm out here just not giving a shit. Like the last thing I need is you guys handing me money. You know, like, and like I left there, had money, and it's like, to me, it's like, oh, I can live off this but you know what I mean? Like I was young.
Yeah,
like,
you're 18. You're like,
dude,
I'm balling.
I had no idea what it's like to have bills. You know what I mean? Like you got to make money, you know, to keep it with everything. It was just
for
like,
everything that's going on there. Taxes, the whole nine.
Like I had no clue of what I was getting myself into. It's like I was such in a rush to get out from my mom's chains, but it's like all I was doing was burying myself. Now looking back on it, it's like but it was like, and everything just got worse. Like I couldn't keep a job, so it's like, what am I gonna do to make money? You know, and it's just like the stuff I was getting into is just not good.
You start dealing?
Yeah, I mean, just started out with just a little bit of weed, you know, just to get me by, you know, just to keep me high, you know, give me a little money in my pocket.
Yep.
But it's like the people I'm around aren't good people, and it's like, you know, if you're just selling a little bud, like you're not gonna get rich off of it,
right? You
know what I mean? Like you're barely getting by. I was making enough to buy my cigarettes and my booze and whatever else. And at the time, I really wasn't having to pay rent. You know, mom wasn't ever there, and grandma was not asking me for money. Right. You know, and it was just a constant party. Like, but my buddy's dad, well, it was like his stepdad. He kind of got tired of it all, and I come home one day and he just got all my shit just thrown out. And I'm like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? And he's like,
there was like no heads up or nothing. It was just one day.
Which, I mean, it was clearly it needed to be done, because it's like the only thing me and my buddy were doing was partying. Like I remember one time, his mom had came home. Well, like this was like we were doing all kinds of drugs, you know, whatever we could get our hands on, you know, and it was different stuff, you know what I mean? We're doing ecstasy, cocaine. It was just whatever we could get, you know. Well, we go to Walmart one night, and it's like in the middle of the night. We buy spray paint and all this stuff, and we start painting his ceiling and everything. And his mom came in. She's like, what are you guys doing? You know, spray paint fumes in the bedroom, and it's just like,
you guys are high as fuck.
Yeah, just like once that happened, she's like, you guys got to go. You guys got to be separated. And it was just, You know, she was tired of her house being the party house, and so I pretty much went from there, and it was the beginning of bouncing around for me. I kind of, you know, I stayed in the cars for a little while. I would, you know, get a little construction job, get a little bit of money, go stay in a hotel for here and there, and it was just I bounced around, you know. And then that's about the same time I met my kid's mom, and like her parents, her dad would go to construction. He worked construction. He would go out of town like every week, so he would be gone during the week. So I would just go stay there, you know, like, and then on the weekends I would go stay in my car or wherever I could find, and that's how it worked out for a little while, just bouncing from place to place. Like, I wasn't really working. I was just doing whatever I could do to get by.
You're just kind of doing like oddball jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then like it was about 6 months, and we found out she was pregnant. You know, like we were having a kid, and it was just like it didn't even register. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to get your life together. Like, you're about to have a kid, and it was just
when you guys met, was she living the same rock star lifestyle as you, or did you introduce her?
No. Like, I mean, she, like, the first time we ever met, like, we played Power Hour, like that old drinking game. Yeah. Just, you know, like drinking and smoking.
She partied not to your extent.
Yeah, but like, she really didn't. We didn't really start partying, like, you know, just the normal shit, just drinking and smoking, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we really didn't get into the bad stuff until after we had the kid. Like, we went through the whole pregnancy. We had the kid, and her dad's like, "Well, you guys can live here for 30 days, but after the 30 days, you guys got to go." So like, we're at home with a brand new kid, and it was just, you know, the first couple of weeks is just like crazy, you know what I mean? Like, to have a kid, and it was just wild. Like, and then, like, we never even started trying to figure out a place to live, and
you're just trying to get adjusted.
We're just trying to just get used to being a parent. I'm like, you know, I was probably 19 or 20 at the time, you know, and it's just like
still a kid yourself
for sure. And like, we bounced around. Like, well, that 30 days came a lot quicker than you think. You know what I mean? 30 days ain't nothing.
Right.
And he had 30 days, and he's like, you guys gotta figure it out, and you gotta get out of here. Well, we didn't really have anywhere to go. We went and stayed with one of her mom's friends, and that's kind of where it all got real bad, because like, the mom's friend, she was kind of a meth addict, you know what I mean? Like, it was a whole different environment.
And you're still in party phase.
Still in party phase. Like, that's what I didn't have no job, just living off the streets, basically doing whatever I could to make $1. And we moved there, and her mom had my mother-in-law at the time or whatever, she had a drug issue, you know, and like, I knew about it, but she didn't know about it. Like, my kid's mom, she didn't know that her mom was doing this or doing that. And I remember one time we got in an argument. I'm like, well, you know what? Your mom's down there getting high at the same, you know what I mean? So like, how you even go out? Because we were talking about my problems or whatever, you know, my addiction problem. Well, she goes downstairs, sees her mom getting high. Well, then it was like, next thing you know, we're all getting high. Like, it was just like a.
So you had started using meth whenever you guys moved in with her mom's friends.
No, not really. I was kind of sober at the time. Like, well, not sober, but I was smoking. Like, I wasn't on that shit. But that's where it all kind of started, back with the meth. And like,
because what was like the first time that you ever tried it? Like, how did that come about?
Wait, before we get, I want to explain something, because I just my kids are 2 months now in a couple weeks. When Nick says those 30 days come a lot quicker than you think, in my mind, having a new kid, in that 30 days, Nick probably and his lady probably got, like, out of those 30 days, maybe like a total of 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And that's me being generous. You know, because the babies, you know, they're up. They need constant feeding and changing of diapers. You got to make sure they're alive. They're not getting sick. So I totally
Make sure they're alive.
I mean, but that's really what it is.
Still breathing?
I mean, I check my daughter's. I still put my finger under her nose.
I know. That's
But so that's incredible because it's not really when you take the baby home, you know, that's a whole new lifestyle. Like you're restarting a new life because now all of a sudden you're not sleeping for yourself, you're not eating for yourself, and then depending on how much sleep you get, you might be running off an hour of sleep.
Yeah.
In that hour, you're still in a daze and you're trying to be like, wait, did she eat? Did I change a diaper? Oh my God, did I eat? Like, so much is happening. I couldn't imagine. I'm 30 years old and it's a struggle for me. So I couldn't imagine at 19 what that was like, you know?
Yeah,
so,
it is definitely.
Especially with the lifestyle you were living too.
Yeah.
Like
I had no.
you weren't even stable as your own human being,
No.
let alone to take care of another one.
No.
You
yeah,
know?
cocaine might help a little bit if you like keep you up. I'm not saying he was doing it, but
Yeah. Well.
So
it was a lot worse when I was doing.
Yeah, so you move into her mom's friend's house.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was the first time that you tried meth? Because in my mind, I would imagine.
I'd already tried it before, like, but it wasn't really my thing. Like, I didn't really care for it too much, but I don't know. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, you might do it once and you're good to go, and like you ain't thinking, but it's like you keep trying something and it just, you know, like anything, it'll wear on you. You know what I mean, you find, well, maybe I do kind of like it this time, you know, and it was just, but my first couple times, like, it wasn't really my thing, but like, I don't know what it was, but, you know, like, we had the kid, and it was like, you know, my girlfriend at the time, she thought she was big, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I can do this and I'll get skinny.
So she was using it for like weight loss.
Well, not necessarily at first, you know. At first, it was just like,
just
well,
because it was
like this,
there,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, and it's like you say, like when you first have the kid, like if you wake up in the middle of the night, well, if you're already up, you don't have to wake up. You know what I mean? Like you're just waiting for the kid. You're over here doing whatever, you know, like watching the movie or you know what I mean. Like at first, like getting high, it was just cool. You're getting high, you're sitting on the couch with whoever you're with, just bullshitting. And it's
probably
like,
helped a lot with the first few, like you were saying. For
you know, it's like at the first, when you first getting high, it's like everything's pretty manageable. You know what I mean? Like even though I wasn't doing what I should have been doing, but it was easier getting high. You know, I had the energy, I could do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but
no, I think I get it. You know, you're just trying to survive. That's literally what you're doing, and at the same time, you're getting high. You're doing it obviously because it's a part of you now. It's an addiction, but also you think it's helping.
Yeah.
This process of transitioning from having a newborn to just keeping them, you know, keeping them healthy, which is, you know, ironic. At the same time, you're doing something terrible for your body, but you're doing it for the better of the child.
Yeah.
Did you know, like how bad meth was, like the effects or anything like that?
I want you to ask that question again in a second. I think we're almost at the 30-minute mark. So,
all right. So, at the time you're starting to do meth more frequently, do you know the effects like that it has on you, like the addiction aspect? Like, what do you know about it?
At the time, like, I really, you know, like I had my uncles and stuff, like they had their own problems with addiction. So it's like when I grew up, I kind of always seen like how chaotic their life was. And like, I mean, like my uncle lived in the trailer park and it was just like, just crazy. Like it was the stuff that always happened. Like I always hear my mom talk about, and it's like, you think I would have been smart enough, like, dude, these guys aren't right at all. Like,
right. You had prime
you know
examples.
what I mean? Like, why would I even want to go down that road? But it's like, when you're first getting high with anything, like, you don't think about what's going to happen later down the road. It's like, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get high, I'm going to feel good, and I'll be able to do whatever I need to get done. You know, and that's, at the time, like, that's what it was for me. You know, it was just, I know I can get high, I'm going to get all my stuff done, and then whatever happens after that is all good to go, you know. But I didn't really have any clue of, like, you know, I mean, like you can see like the typical meth head, like the all skinny, no teeth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because
Like,
that's what I was thinking. Like I never like because you're fucking jacked, dude.
Yeah.
You look like an action
Yeah,
figure.
you got some weight on you, and your lady.
And I would never imagine you to like be like, because when I think of someone that's on meth, I think of like a skinny, scrawny, like
Oh, yeah.
crackhead
Well,
type
yeah.
person,
It's-
Tyrone Biggums, you know?
like right before my weight cuts, that's about what I look like.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's what that's the only time now that it's okay to look bad is when I got a fight coming up.
But
and I
even
can-
then, you're jacked, because then your muscles are just like screaming out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dehydrated as hell, and your face is sunken in.
yeah,
but
I mean that's the way I walking around looking like that, maybe surviving on croutons and grape tomatoes every now and then. Like I wasn't eating. It was just like, but that wasn't really later on. Like at first, like everything with the addiction, like it was all good to go. You know what I mean? Like you get high, you and your old lady go have fun for a couple hours in the bedroom, and it was just, you know, life was easy. Like, you know, like it helped me get by. Like if I need a little bit of money here, you know, here's a way to get it. And it was just everything at first, you know, was nice.
so you were selling meth at the time too.
No, I really never had a problem selling meth, but like, you know, if you needed to, it was a way to get money. But my thing, I was always sold a little bit of grass. Well, like when we were living down there at Jana, it was kind of like the first time I ever got in trouble. Like we had went to a party, and you know, it's probably been like a month or so after we had the baby. Like we hadn't really gone out with any of our old friends or anything. And we went out to a buddy's head. They had like a barn party. We went out, you know, smoked and drank and just partied. Well, they were supposed to take us home. Well, they were already drunk. They didn't want to take us anywhere, so they had a buddy take us home. Well, like we're going down these gravel roads on our way back to the girl's house, and we're pulling onto the road, and a cop gets behind us, said we didn't use our
Turn
blink
signal,
or
yeah.
something like that. He pulls us over. Well, like he starts asking to search the car and everything. When the guys that drove us, he's like, well, that guy in there's he's got weed and he's got pills on him.
What?
I'm like, oh, well, like I'm already trying to hide this stuff in the car. It was like, I already know what's gonna happen. And like he comes and searched the car, and they had like a drug dog, and you know, they find everything in the car, and it was like, I'm going to jail. And like that was like the first time I had to go away, and like my old lady, she didn't know what to do, you know what I mean? She's like got the kid on her own and everything, and it was just at that time I wasn't locked up for very long. I was locked up for about like 10 days, and then I was able to make bond and I got out. But like then, like I had a case waiting.
Yeah.
They hit me with like it was, I didn't even have very much, but I had Xanax and I had weed. Well, for some reason I ended up getting like a Class B distribution out of it, this situation.
Really?
Because whenever we got pulled over, the kid was like, he's got this and that, and he offered to sell me some.
Oh,
So
that's
and
what
it was just like right off that, you know. Like
so they
my
probably
first
hit you with Class B for trying to sell
Class B,
Xanax.
yeah, Class B distribution, and it's like, you know, I was 19 at the time when I got that, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like once you get something like that on your record, like you're not gonna get a good job,
no,
you know
not
what
ever,
I mean?
yeah,
And
no.
it was like
When I was on probation, I had my felonies on my record. Because while I was on probation, I had my felonies on my record.
yeah,
It was fucking impossible.
yeah.
Only job that I was able to get was roofing for my cousin.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, like I got this case pending, waiting to go to court, and then it just kind of like I went just ham. I'm like, well, if I already gotten in trouble, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
You're like,
and I
fuck it.
started getting court cases like out the ass. Like I had court cases here and there, and it's like every other week I seemed like I was having to go to court.
Was
you
it
know,
just all for like little
just
shit?
little stuff, you know what I mean? But I had that Class B. Well, they tried to give me some kind of probation to where I didn't have to go do any time. You know, it was this, it was like a treatment is what I had to go do.
Like drug court?
Well, it was like an inpatient, but I had to go. It was like a 120-day program is what it is, but it's in an institution.
Okay.
So, like, but I didn't do that till I went to court for about it was about a year going back and forth before I actually ever had to go do any time. And it was weird. Like, my lawyer got it set up to where I drove myself to the prison and like had to check myself in.
Yeah.
And I remember going.
And you were in prison, not like county, right?
At the time, I was on the street, just going back and forth.
Right, but like if you're going to check yourself in, you're checking in at the prison.
At the
or?
prison, yeah. Like,
okay, wow.
Yeah, and it was like my mom and my old lady, and the kid was with us. Cadence was with us, and Cadence was like a little baby, you know what I mean? Like, still in a little like baby cart. And I remember having to get out and give her a hug and a kiss, and I'm like,
Oh wow.
not even knowing what I'm going to, like what I was going through. Like, oh man, it was just, I had to check myself in. I like go in there like, hey, I'm here to turn myself into prison. And it's like, all right, like, do you have your paperwork? And it's like, I'm like, yeah, but I need to go use the restroom real quick. Like, it was just like all my nerves and everything hit me at once. And like, they take you in, like, you go in, it's like, the only thing really at first I know about prison is just what I've seen on TV, it's movies, you know what I mean? And it's basically what you see. Like, you walk in there, they buzz you through one door, you go in, they're like, all right, strip down here and go in the shower. And like, they got this can of bug spray shit, and you got to strip down, and they spray your front, spray your back, and then like, all right, go sit over here on this bench. I'm like, all right, and you're just sitting there like smelling like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell you got on you? Like, then they're like, you have to sit for like 5 minutes. It's just like a delousing. Make sure you don't have any diseases on your skin, bugs or whatever, you know what I mean? Because like, you get some strange people coming into the correctional facility.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
when it gets cold outside, the bums don't have nowhere to go, but they can go get locked up. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, they got to spray people down. Like, and that's kind of like, you go in and you sit all day long on this like concrete bench waiting for everybody to come in through the whole day.
Damn.
I mean, you're from there, like, and I got there like 8:30 in the morning. Like, that's when I was supposed to be there. But like, you're sitting on this concrete bench until like 3:34 waiting for everybody else to get there. And they do like all your clothing issue, you know what I mean? Like, it just, you got all these little tests, and then when they finally get done, they march you to this room. It's called J-Wing. And it's just like 120 bunk beds in this one room.
Shit.
And it's just like a row of people, you know what I mean? And it's just everybody stacked on top of each other. There's no cell or nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just in this big open room.
Just general pop.
And it's just out of control. Like, and at first, like, you're in there with everybody. Like, you don't know if your bunkies, how long he's been there, what he's been there for, or nothing. Like, it's when you're in this J-Wing, it's kind of, they figure out where they're going to take you, you know, like they classify you, what your crime is and all that, you know. And it's just
That's intense. So when you started, so you go to prison, and do you like join a gang? Like,
well, see, like, the first time I went to prison, it was easy. Like, it was just a program. So like, I went in and I did like 55 days in like the diagnostic program. And like, when you're in diagnostics, they got you locked down pretty much like 18 hours a day. They let you out like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours after lunch, and then 2 hours after dinner, like, where you can use the phone, walk around, like, people will play cards or whatever. But for the most part, you're just locked in your cell, like, writing letters, drawing, or, you know, like,
What were you doing?
I'm doing push-ups, man.
Push-ups like a motherfucker.
That's.
Are you sober at this time, or are you still like?
Well, yeah. I mean, just from being
Locked up.
being locked up, and like, I mean, I still, like, I'm gonna say I was sober, but like, sober to me is not on meth. You know what I mean? Like, but I was still probably using weed and alcohol. But I'll go in there, and, you know, my little thing was to work out. Like, every day that we came out, I would just push-ups. We would do, they had like a row of stairs that would go up, and it was enough you could hang on and do your little pull-ups. And then, like, that's just how I started doing my time. I would just, every time they would let us out in the day room, just walking around, do a set of push-ups, keep walking around. It was just how I occupied my time there. And then, like I said, I did a couple months there, and then they shipped me over to like the treatment center. And when you got there, it was like you're up and busy all day long. Like you're waking up at 5:30, you're doing some kind of classes, and like they just keep you busy from the time you wake up, and then you're not allowed to lay down until like 10:30.
Wow.
So it was pretty intense, you know what I mean? Like I'm not used to waking up ever at 5:30, you know, and like, but like it was a good program. Like it was, you know, they teach you like all kinds of stuff, like between your substance abuse problems, like mental health issues, you know, like they try to give you like a guideline of how to live a decent life, you know, and but like I said, like it wasn't any punishment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did the program. It was easy to get through. Like there was no punishment. You know,
and it probably didn't soak in for you at the time.
No,
too.
at
You're
the
what,
time-
20 years old?
Yeah, and it was like at the time I remember I turned 21 when I was in that treatment.
Wow.
So it was like, you know what I mean? I'm ready to get out and go have a drink.
Hell
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
You're
Like,
legal.
I've only been
You got to worry about getting pulled over, nothing like that.
I'd only been locked up for like the total of like 6 months that first time I went there, you know, and it was just 6 months isn't long enough. Like
Yeah.
I'd been wilding out since I was like 16, you know, so it was just that 6 months is nothing compared to the 4 or 5 years that I'd been doing whatever. And I got out and I did pretty good for a while. Like, you know, just I had a job, like I went to work with my dad or whatever, and he's got his own construction business, and I went out. I did good for a little bit, and it was probably about 2009 is when I got locked up again. I got back into, like, if I ever get on meth, I know it's only a matter of time before I get
Go
locked
back to
up.
prison. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
So
the
you
thing.
had started using meth again, and then that eventually led to.
Yeah, like I got comfortable. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like I just got comfortable, and we started getting high, and like my old lady, she is right there with me. You know what I mean? And it's like instead of having somebody be like, dude, you can't.
You
be
need to
doing
chill the
this,
fuck
like,
out.
you
She
know what
was
I mean?
like, yeah, let's
Let's
do it.
you know, and it was so toxic. Like it wasn't good for
For
either,
both of you
for
guys.
either
Yeah,
of us.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was just we were not.
You guys
a
were
good
enabling one
combination.
another.
Exactly. Like we're not a good combination.
So when this is happening, so I got two questions. So what is this Nick like? Because I know who you are now. You know, you're such a mild, calm guy. You put in work. You're busting your ass. You got 3 beautiful kids. You're doing the best you can. But what was that Nick like? And then how are you guys around your daughter? Because I know little experiences from meth of the people I've been around.
Yeah.
But the only experiences I have is from TV. So it's not like you guys are like pacing around your daughter.
Well,
what's that like?
Usually we wouldn't really we would get high during the day, but the party really didn't start until after my daughter would be in bed.
Okay.
But
So
like
you
at
guys are
the
still
same time,
parents
but at
during
the
the
same
day.
time, like we weren't really good parents at the time because what was our hindrance is like I said, her mom had her own issues with drugs. You know what I mean? So it's like we got her mom. You know, she basically lived with us at the time. You know, when we got
Gotcha.
our own place.
Yeah.
So she's like a constant babysitter, you know what I mean? Like if
Mhm.
we need to go do this or do that, like she's there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like my oldest daughter, like when she was growing up, like that was her main support, like was her grandma. Like she was the one that was, you know, she was getting high, but like she's 50 years old, like, you know, like she knows how to take care of kids. Like she's already had her own kids. Like for us, we were still trying to figure out what we're doing in life.
Yeah.
And getting by, but like we kind of had our issues, and like we separated at the time, and we both just started getting off the chain. Like we were both wilding out, like, and
Yeah.
like I went on the run. Like I got just minor stuff. I got a couple tickets or something, and it's just I didn't ever go deal with them. I ended up getting
Didn't
a
go to
warrant.
court, nothing
Yeah,
like
I ended
that,
up getting a warrant. And I'm like, well, definitely not going to my parole officer anymore. So it was like,
Yeah.
I just was like,
Probation and parole's done, guys.
no,
I'm
like,
not
I'm
doing
not going to that anymore. And like, I remember it was like a Cinco de Mayo, and like, we're having a party, like, we're eating tacos, drinking Coronas, you know what I
Right.
mean? And like, I remember like this beating on the door, boom, boom, boom. I'm like we got the music up.
Because did you live at the same place? So you were like going to parole, they had your address, and then you just stopped going?
Yeah, like, we lived in this house for about, like, whenever we got the house, we lived there for about 3 years. So, like, they already knew where I lived and everything else. Well, like, we got the music up loud, and it was like, boom, boom, boom. And, like, I looked out the window, and I'm like, oh, shit. That's the cops. I'm like, nobody answered the door. And, like, I was doing, like, some remodeling in front of the living room. Was putting this tile down, like, right in front of the door. So I had this big old bucket full of tools and tile and everything. And I, like, slid it across and put it in front of the door. And I'm like, I'm going out
making
the back.
all kinds of fucking noise.
Well, like, I wasn't really worried about, like, they knew we were in there, but, like, I wasn't wanting them to come inside. So I'm like, if I go out the back door, I'm already outside and they confront me, then there's no reason for them to come inside. So I'm going out the back door. I shut the door, and like, I jumped off these stairs, and like a couple stairs. I jumped off the stairs and like kind of stumbled, and like I stood up, and the officer's coming around the corner, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And he gets on his radio. I have the subject detained in the back, and I remember it was a female cop. She like came around the corner just mad as can be, like. She was just mad, you know what I mean? Because I was outside, like, he sat there and talked to us, and like, well, I'm like,
because they wanted to come inside.
Yeah, and they're like, what do you guys? I'm like, what's going on? Like, what are you guys here for? Well, we had a noise ordinance, you know, you're causing too much noise, turn the music down. And he's like, is there any underage drinking going on in there? I'm like, no, which they're probably, you know what I mean? I don't know if there
You don't know offhand.
Yeah, but, you know, who knows?
You definitely weren't checking IDs.
No, and he's like, just turn it down, you know what I mean? Like, I went inside, and like right after that, I knew my PO was gonna find out about that. So I was like, I packed all my stuff up. Like, our time at that place was like, it was done and over with.
Like you knew you had to get the fuck out.
Yeah, and like I was probably behind on my, you know what I mean? So it was, and I went from there, and I ended up going to a buddy's house that stayed out in this little country town, and dude, he worked at Ford's, and it was just a constant party. Like, this guy, he was obsessed with oxys, and like, so like that was my little ticket. Like, I'll just get this guy this when he needs it, and so that's how I kind of like got my money there. You know, he let me stay. You know, and but I was on the run for a while, like probably about 4 months. I ended up moving from that little house in the country and went to go stay in a city with another buddy, and it was pretty bad. Like, it was like a full blown, like, he sold meth, like that was his job, like the guy that I was staying with. And you know, it was just a constant party. Like, you know, I remember one time it was like on my mom's birthday, like I was eating Xanax, and I did a bunch of meth, and like I had like a seizure. Like, you can't do an upper and a downer at the same time and think you're gonna be all right. And like, I remember they had to take me to the hospital. Like, my buddy, and I've known this guy for a long time, like, he was sitting there like, what's my name? And I was just looking at him, like, in the back of this car, like, just fried. Like,
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm looking at him, like, he's like, what's
and
your
you
name?
remember this. You remember,
I
like,
remember
staring
this
at him,
part,
just not
and
being
just,
able
like,
to.
I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on right now. I don't even know. And dude, they took me up. Like, they knew I was a pretty bad situation. They just took me. My buddy put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me inside the North Kansas City Hospital, and was like, hey, this guy needs some help. And like, I remember I woke up in the hospital, and everything is soaking wet. Like, my clothes, my shoes, everything. And I'm like, and I'm trying to figure out, like, how did I get wet? Like, did I walk here? Like, what happened?
You just like sweating that much?
No, like, what happened? Well, I asked the nurse, I'm like, what happened? You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know. You came here and you were soaking wet. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
maybe they threw water
like,
on you to try and like fucking.
I called my buddy. I'm like, hey, you guys got to come get me, because at the time, like, I had a warrant.
Yeah, you're
you know
like,
what
I need to
Like,
get out
I
here
didn't,
before the
I
cops
didn't
come.
want to go to jail over something like that, like I call them, well, they come and get me, right? And I'm like, dude, what am I all wet for? And my buddy's like, whenever you started, like, I started seizuring. So, like, the only thing that he knew to do was to throw me into the shower, and he turned on the cold shower just to try to get me to come out of it, like come out of the shock or whatever. And so that's how I got soaking wet. But
Holy shit.
like like I said, me and my girlfriend, you know, my kid's mom, we would have been separated, and she was living in Excelsior. Well, like after that kind of happened, like I was like, man, I gotta slow down, you know what I mean? So it was like she was partying, which I already knew, you know, but like I was like, man, I just gotta go chill out for a little bit. Well, like I go there, you know, stay at her apartment. Well, like it wasn't but a couple days, and the cops figured out that I was there.
Really?
And, like, they came and they knocked on the door, and I was like sitting on the couch, and she answered the door, and we thought it was like the food delivery, like we had to order food.
Oh no!
So she's opening the door like it's nothing, you know what I mean? And then they're like, look, we know he's inside, like he needs to come outside, and it won't cause any issues. Like we know you got a kid in there and everything else. And I'm like, she's like,
so they're watching you like crazy then if they know all this shit.
Like, yeah, at the time, like it was.
They're keeping a close eye on you.
They were like the officer that arrested me, he just knew. He's like, you know what I do in my off time? I look for you. And I'm like, do what? Like that's what his words were. I'm like, man, like. And
wait, be careful.
Right there.
Yeah.
There we go.
You know, like then I knew I was going to do some time. Like I had parole violations at the time for 2 different cases, and like I had a case out of Ray County and a case out of Clay County. And, like I knew that I was gonna go do some time, so like I went in, and like that was kind of like my first taste of actual what prison was like. But it's still like I ended up going to like a
you?
Yeah.
It's cool. We can stop. We can pause.
Good? Levels all good?
Yeah, we should be good.
All right, guys. We're back. Part 2, Off the Mat podcast with Nick Grass. Last time we talked to you, which was 2 days ago, we decided we were going to meet up on Thursday instead of waiting until like next week or something. But the last time that we met up with you, told us about like the beginning of your life, you know, where you grew up, kind of what your teenage years looked like, your relationship with your dad and your mom, and then where we left off was you had gotten in some trouble, went to prison for a little bit. You have a daughter now, and you had just gotten out about 22 years old, roughly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me back. Kind of saved me from the cold weather.
Of course.
Gonna get nasty out there, cold winds, and it's not fun working outside. But
before is that a skill you learned? Did you always have that skill, or is that something they taught you when you went to prison?
No, like it's mostly like what I've learned in the last few years. Like I've always had a kind of construction job, but I never really took it very serious. It was just, you know, a way to get a paycheck here and there. Like
right.
I really wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. It was just somebody told me to do this, and that's what I went to do. Like I wasn't studying and trying to figure out, you know, why everything worked and everything. Like
right.
Everything has just came in the last couple years on all that. So, but to get back to where we left off, it was about 2009. I was on my way back to prison, and I knew I was going to be in there for a while. I had 2 different cases, one in Clay County and one in Ray County. And
what were you going back to prison for?
Just I had gotten parole violations. Like I quit going to my PO. Like I had warrants out for just like petty misdemeanors, and it's just everything. Yeah, just like me and my kid's mom at the time, we kind of split up. So it was just like I was out wilding out, like, and I was on the run basically. I wasn't going to see my PO, and it was just a matter of time before they caught up with me. I was on probation at the time, so I hadn't really been sentenced as a felon. So when I went back, it was actually my first time going into a general population prison. I I ended up with 2 5s out of each county. I had a 5-year out of Clay County, 5 years out of Ray County. And I go back to diagnostics, and they screw my paperwork up. They have me as consecutive sentences. So they classify me and put me in with like all the people that have like 10 years because they have my paperwork.
Oh shit.
So it's like I got little time, and I'm in here with all these guys that are going to do some time. And it was kind of like, you know, it's a different type of individual you're dealing with, that somebody has to go do 10 years of their life, you know. They're just mentalities. They don't give a shit, you know. It's just, and it was
is their life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I ended up doing like 5 months in diagnostic, and it's usually you're out of there within like 45 days. So it's like I've been stuck in here like, so when I finally got to a general population, it was like almost being free again. Like I get to go outside. Like at the time I smoked cigarettes, I can drink coffee. Like they had a weight room. Like at first, like it was cool, you know what I mean? Compared to where I was at, I was locked down in a cell for 18 hours a day. Like the only thing you could do is walk around and talk on the phone. Like there's no enjoyment at it at all. Like, so when I got there, it was kind of like a breathtaking moment. Like it was, you could actually breathe. And, like at first I kind of got into all the bullshit. Like I was getting tattoos and like just doing stupid shit, you know. I didn't care if I got in trouble, got write-ups, or at first it was just like an adjustment, you know.
Yeah.
And
sounds like you were kind of starting to settle into like that lifestyle. Like living.
Yeah. I had about 6 months to do before I seen the parole board. And like I remember the night before I went to go see the parole board, I stayed up all night. Like I was getting a tattoo on my arm, like, and I woke up, I had like an hour worth of sleep, they called me to go see the parole board. Like you have to go sit in a different part of the prison and you wait till you're called up, and it's like I'd been up all night getting tattoos, and I'm going to see
you truly not giving a fuck.
I'm going to see the parole board, and like it was probably about 6 weeks afterwards they give you your date. Well, I had like another year to go. Well, like when I finally got my actual date, they moved me to a different housing unit. So when I got up there, like I kind of chilled out a little bit. Like I was working in the kitchen, and like when I got up there, it was kind of a different scenario. Like I was in like a 6-man cell, and my bunkie, he had been down since like the early 90s. Like he had been like, he's just this black sawed off dude, just, you know what I mean? Just cut up. Like he's got the old school TV, and it's like when I was down there, at the other housing, you couldn't watch TV. Like if you wanted to watch TV, you had to go sit out in like a general room. Yeah. And it was just, it was different. Like up there, you got a TV in your room. Like people could come into your cell. Like it was just way different. But like he was like, man, if you ever want to watch TV, just go ahead and kick it on. I'm like, cool. Like I hadn't watched TV.
Yeah, you're like fucking
and
I get to pick what's on. Let's go.
Like months. Like, well, like I was always watching fights, like boxing, UFC. It was just like, he's like, what's up with you, man? Like, why are you always watching this stuff? I'm like, man, it's just like I used to wrestle when I was a kid. Like I'm just fascinated by it. Like that's what, you know. And he's like, man, I used to box. I'm like, oh yeah. And so like we just kind of clicked right away. Nice. And man, like he was on like a pretty strict routine. Like he'd wake up early in the morning, go work out, like go do whatever in the afternoon. He would go back to the gym. I'm like, what's up, man? Like I'm trying to get like you. Like dude's just Jack City, like the definition of an inmate, you know what I mean? Like this huge dude. And so like that's what we did. Like we'd wake up early in the morning, go work out. In the afternoon I'd go play handball or do whatever, walk around the yard, just walk around. I mean, it was like this place was like a damn near like a college almost. There's just no girls around. It was
like
just
daycare for men.
Yeah, for real. Like exactly what it was. Like there's baseball field down here, a track. Like the gym that they had in this place was nicer than some of the places I paid for a membership to go to. Like, you know, like we had like a cardio room in this gym, like treadmills, bikes. They got a big screen TV on the wall. It's like
personal trainer.
You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. Like they had all the weights and everything. And it was just like, at first it was it was easy, you know, like it wasn't hard. Like, and me and my bunkie were just working out every day. Like, then, like we started doing like boxing stuff. Like he started helping me doing some boxing combos. Like we'd have like our flip flops we have for shower shoes, just like normal foam flip flops. And that's like the first time I ever learned how to hit mitts.
You guys would use the flip-flops.
We would use the flip flops to just hit the mitts, and like, man, like that's all we did. Like watch fights 24/7, you know, or we're working out, you know, like that's how I did my time. Like, and
the COs didn't care that you guys were like hitting mitts.
No, like we would have somebody kind of watch, you know, but like we were in a cell,
like
you know what I mean? Like we had like it was like a 6-man cell. Like there's bunk beds
so you're
all
not out in the open.
Like we got all kinds of room in our room. So I mean, if you're getting tattoos and everything in there, there's ways, you know.
That's very true. Yeah.
There's ways to just, hey, here's a soup or whatever, man. Will you watch out for the COs? All right, I got you. You know, like there's people doing bad in there and just do anything for, you know what I mean, a couple bucks.
Yeah.
But like that was we did that for about 8 months, and then I ended up having to go do like another treatment program. It was like a 3-month program.
I was about to say, where are you at with as far as like drugs at this point?
Yeah.
Well, like,
because I know that it's possible to get drugs.
Yeah. Well, like at this one, it's like everybody. It was like a minimal security. It was like a level 2 prison. Like there was a little bit of weed here and there, but like I was sober. You know what I mean? Like for me, like this was like the first time I really ever been sober. Like, and I had got into like a routine. Like I'm working out every day, and like I was living like a normal life. Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't even live like this on the street. Like you know what I mean? Like I was at peace. You know what I mean? Like it sucked being locked up, but like I was enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like I was making the best of my time. Like I was staying busy. You know, like but like I went to that treatment program, and once I did that, like I don't know, like everything kind of changed. Like I still worked out and everything, but it was just like I was ready to get out. Like I started calling home more, and like there was a lot of people that I was locked up with that had already got out, and it was like everything that I had planned at first like kind of just went out the door. Like when I seen the gate was getting close, like I'm almost getting ready to get out of here, and it was just like everything kind of switched. I was like, I was excited to get out. Like I wanted to just go back to doing what the fuck I was doing before. And like when I got out, like I went to my mom's house. I home planned there, and like the first night I get out, like I'm like, my old lady gets a hold of me, my kid's mom, and she's not in a good spot. You know what I mean? Like she was already continuing to do what was going on before I got locked up, you know? So it's like, that night, like I already put myself in a bad situation, you know, but like, and then like within a week, like I've already been kicked out of my mom's house. Like she could tell, like the people that I was around, like I didn't even really attempt to get a job. Like the only kind of job I really had before was working construction. Well, I got out in November. So it's like, there is no work, you know what I mean? Like the weather was already bad. Like, and I just really didn't have a drive to want to do anything, really, to be honest with you. Like I had all these people trying to hit me up like as soon as I got out, and it was just like everybody that was excited for me that I was out were like people I shouldn't have been around, you know what I mean? Like it was the same people that I was with before I got locked up, and like it was even worse because it's like a lot of the people that I was around this time had like just got out of prison, you know what I mean? And it's like I see them, they got a car, they got this or that, and it's like I don't even barely got a cell phone. You know what I mean? Like I got a bag full of clothes and nowhere to go. Like it was just like everything got bad quick, and it was just like it got dark. You know what I mean? Like getting high was not fun. It was just like I was surviving in life. You know what I mean? Like, and like I didn't last very long at all. Like I got within like a month of being kicked out of my mom's house, I had hustled up enough money to get an apartment, but it was in the wrong part of town, you know what I mean? Like it was cheap, and like everybody, once I moved there, it was just like, you know, downtown, everybody knew where I was at, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't last but like 3 months. I got out like right before Thanksgiving, and it's like getting ready to be Valentine's Day. So, you know, like February, second week of February, I'm locked back up, and I'm on parole. I got parole violation. Like I wasn't doing anything. I was supposed to go to drug classes, you know what I mean? And my PO was just, he was done with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He locks me up. And at that point, I was ready to be locked up, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't.
You wanted to go back.
Like, my life was so unmanageable. It, like, nothing about it was enjoyable. Like, I came home and just automatically dug a grave for myself, you know? It was like, you know what I mean? Like, people that I was around, they were all felons. Like, they were all on their way back to prison. If they, you know, they just got out on their way back. And it was just that little bit of break. Like, I'm sitting in the county. Like, I needed that. Like, I wasn't safe for myself. And, like, everything I was doing, it was just,
button.
you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what I needed, to hit the reset button. And I ended up being in the county for like 45 days. You know what I mean? Like, it was long enough to get my head clear. And like, when I was gone, like, we'd found out that we were having another baby. Like, the second one was on our way. Mm-hmm. And like, at that point, like, I find out like I'm having a kid. Like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be locked up. Like, I was just sitting on a parole violation. It was really up to the parole board of what they wanted to do. And like I said, I sat there for 45 days and ended up getting released. They just put my stuff on delayed action. So it was like a little break. I got out. Like, I remember calling my mom. I'm like, hey, you need to come get me. And she's like, from where? And I'm like, jail. Like, they're letting me go. And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. Like, you need to come up here. Like,
hurry up before they figure it out.
Before they change their mind. Like, and I got out and I'm like, I don't know if I should even call my PO. And she's like, well, they weren't going to just let you out if they aren't supposed to be. I'm like, you never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on a parole violation. Like, I haven't even went
they fucked up and put me in a higher max prison before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, but like, I spent like 2 hours. I'm riding around with my mom. I'm like, should I even call the PO? She's like, yeah, you should call him. And man, like, I went, seen my PO and kind of talked about everything. And he had all these stipulations. I got to go to drug classes. You know, I got to do this and do that. And like, I did it, you know what I mean? Like, I went out, like, went to the classes that I was supposed to do. Like, I went, talked to my dad and like trying to get on a job with him. Mm-hmm. And he had some work that I went and did with him. And like, everything started going good. Like, we got a baby on the way, you know what I mean? Like, and I did good, like, the whole pregnancy. And for me, I just got out of prison within 3 months. I was already back. So like, each month that goes by is like a milestone for me. Yeah, it's like, I actually have done it. Like, and like, at the time, like, we were still living down in the wrong place. You know what I mean? Like, I would always see people, you know what I mean, just walking by, and it's like, everybody
put your blinders on and keep,
you know what I mean? It was just like, you're like still stuck in the same craziness, you know what I mean? It was just weird looking on the outside, you know? But like, the baby was getting ready to come, and we had saved up enough money and got like this little house, and the baby came, everything was good. Like, we're chilling in our new house. Like we actually left from the hospital, like, and went to the house. Like, we hadn't even stayed there. Like, that was exactly where we went.
Okay. From
leaving the hospital was just moving in there. Like, I remember, like, it was like a couple days that we were at the hospital. It was like 3 days before we actually got to leave. And like, I was moving stuff in and getting everything set up. So it was a pretty cool time. Like, coming home and like, everything was cool. Like, 2 kids, you know, and like, it was probably about 3 months of doing good, you know what I mean? Like, on top of the other months, you know what I mean? Like, we had the baby and adjusting to that. And man, like, we got money saved up, like, nice. But I got too comfortable, you know what I mean? Like, I had my cousin got out of prison. He had been locked up and he got out, and like, a couple other people kind of came around at the same time, and it was just like a perfect combination for a storm to just happen, you know what I mean? It was like having money and just being comfortable. I got a new house, and it's like, I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be, I was proud of everything that I'd worked for, and it's like, but it was like, man, everything got bad quick. Like, you know, just trying to bring everybody in, like, you're doing good, you know what I mean? But dude, it just backfired on me. Like, everybody didn't have the same plan that I did, you know? So it's like, we're right back. And just some people that if I'm around them, you know, it's just something bad's gonna happen. So, and it didn't last, but like, well, it was like right around Christmas time, everything started going bad. Like, and it was a few months, and it was like right around March. My old lady's dad had gotten sick, and I think he knew a little bit before, but like it was so sudden. Like, we found out he was sick, and then it's like a couple weeks, and he was passing away. Like, and it just caught us off guard. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like we went to the Snake Today parade, and like, and that's in like February, right? And we seen him, and it's just like, man, he didn't look too good, you know. And it's like, that was like right when we were found, and it's like March, end of March, he's passing away, and it was just like, what the hell, like, and like we just went off the deep end, like I'm starting to get high like every day, like.
So you were really close with her dad as well?
No, not really. Like we butted heads a lot, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because when me and his daughter first got together, she's only like 16, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm already a
so
wild
he
child.
hates you.
Yeah, like he doesn't like me and all, but like before he passed away, like we had a little bit of discussion. Like I remember we were at that parade, and he was like, man, you don't know how lucky you are to have these girls. And like then I really didn't know how lucky I was, especially with my kids and everything like that. And anyways, he passes away, and like we're, you know what I mean, like we're on the one-way ticket to nowhere. Like
wait, so you guys, so he passes away, and then like instantly, was it like the pain forced you to be like, man, we gotta get high?
yeah,
yeah. Immediately. Okay.
Yeah. Like it was like, I remember after like she found out, like she was on the phone with her brother, and she's like, my dad's gone. She was like, she like asked to take the pain away, and I was like, all right, here we go. You know what I mean? And it's like, once that happened, like I knew, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't going back, you know? Like once you start on that road, like for me, like the only thing that's going to stop is something drastic or being locked up. Like that's the only thing that's stopping me. And something drastic happened this time. Like her father passed away in March, and like it didn't take but no time, and like, you know, we ain't got no money saved up, you know, and it's like I'm plotting and scheming, like how are we going to get back ahead to where we were, you know what I mean? Like I could see everything just going down, and it's like, man, like I got mixed up with this dude, and like I knew this certain little house was there was stuff going on there, you know, like I knew that there wasn't going to be anybody there at this time. Like I knew I could go there and clean house, you know, and it would be a chance to, you know, get us back ahead. So this was like my little, you know, my casting out project. Like I'm going to go here, and everything's going to get back to where we need to be, and then we can figure out everything from here and get sober and this and that. But like I didn't have it all planned out like the way I thought. Like me and this guy, we go and he drops me off, and he's like, I'll go park and I'll be up. I come out, I go around the back of this house, you know, make my way inside, and
you guys are breaking in, yeah?
Yeah, we're breaking in, and it's like
guns. You guys have weapons on you, or is it like we since no one's there, you guys are trusting the process and hoping that you guys can go and clean without.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to just go in, clean, get your stuff and get out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it wasn't. We weren't prepared for what was ahead of us. Like you go in, like when I first walked up to the house, like I looked over at this other, like the neighboring house, and it's like I seen like this little red light. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, and I just kept it moving. Like I got $5 in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like.
You know,
I don't have like another choice. Like, yeah, I'm desperate, and it's like I really didn't know what to do at the time. You know what I mean? Like I was so clouded. My focus was just on doing this and then worrying about it later on. Like figure this out first. And we go inside, we get what we need, and like I'm coming back out of the house. I'm coming out the back, and I'm coming around the corner, and like I hear this guy like, don't move, and I'm like, fuck that, I'm definitely moving. Yeah. And like the buddy that I was with, he goes the other way, and I'm running, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm taking like a few steps, and like I'm running towards the situation, but like I'm trying to get away. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I can't just turn around and go. Like I'm not going to turn my back to this individual, but like at the same time I'm just running, I'm just trying to get out of there. And it's just like you hear the crack of the gun go off, and it's like I'm, next thing I know, I'm like laying on the ground, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I didn't even really know if I was already hit. Like, I tried to get up, and like I fell down again. Like, I just didn't have the ability to stand up at the time. Like, and I'm looking down, and it's like I heard the gunshot, but it's like I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's not registering. You know what I mean? And it's just like at this time, and I'm laying on the ground. You know what I mean? And like I can feel like the blood coming out of me. Like, yeah, it's like a warm sensation, but like I'm on fire. Like, my whole body is just like burning. You know what I mean? I got hot lead inside of me, just melting through me. Like, and I'm like just laying on the ground. There was like a brush pile right there. So I'm like, I'm just trying to get away from the situation. Like, the whole time I'm like, how do I get away? Like, I can't even stand up. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this guy is going to shoot me again. Is he going to call for help? You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, don't shoot, man. Like, I'm hit. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And like, he's irate at this point. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, like, I did my homework. These people weren't going to be home. Go here. But I didn't know that the goddamn, the neighbors, you know what I mean? The neighbors are going to be on alert. But you know what I mean? Like, this wasn't a good house. Like, how do you not think about something like that? You know what I mean? Like, we're on the wrong side of the neighborhood. Like, you're in the city and you're from the country, kid. Like,
yeah.
Like, and it's just like, luckily he just wanted me to, you know what I mean? He didn't even really want to shoot me. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't know what's going to happen when I'm running towards him. And it was just like, I don't know. It was just like, luckily I was lucky enough that he just called the law. And like, I'm sitting there, just, you can hear the sirens in the background. It's like, man, are they coming for me? Is it for somebody else? Like, please be it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they put me in the ambulance and drove me to the Truman Hospital. And like, I remember like they're cutting off my clothes and stuff, trying to get to me. And like I kind of like just kind of black out there until I get to the hospital. Like, when we get to the hospital, you're going to have to be rushed into emergency surgery. I'm like, all right. They're like, do you have any insurance? I'm like, no. Like, I can't even pay my bills. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be doing
I
the
was trying
shit.
to rob a motherfucker. You
Yeah.
think I got insurance?
Like, I wouldn't be doing the shit that I was doing if I had insurance. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I have my first surgery, and it's like, I'm sitting in the hospital bed. Like when I left this night, like, I didn't even tell. Like, nobody even knew. It was just
I was
like,
about to say, what is everybody
it was
thinking?
just like a,
this in the hospital?
you know what I mean? It's like a spur of the moment kind of thing. Like, this person just happened to show up at my house, and it was just like, hey man, want to go do this? Oh, let's go. And we were out the door. Like, my old lady, my kid, they were already sleeping. Like, so she wakes up the next day, and I'm gone. Like, I'm not there. You know what I mean? Like, nobody knows what's going on. She's calling my mom, like, have you seen Nick? And I mean, like, my mom's like, no. Well, then, like, my mom gets a call. She's like, Nick's in the hospital. Like the whole thing that I did is on the news.
Oh shit.
Well, like, it's on like Channel 5, and it's like, I had somebody call my mom and say, hey, we just seen Nick was on the news for this and that. You know what I mean? Like, so like, they're trying to call up to the hospital, but like, I'm on like a blacklist. Like,
Yeah.
Like, they haven't questioned me about anything. Like, so like, I'm sitting here in the hospital bed wondering, like, why isn't anybody, like,
coming to see if
well,
I'm
like,
all right.
you know what I mean? Like, what can I do? Like, I can't call them. Like, I'm just stuck in the hospital bed. I got a cop right there, and I'm like, they won't let me call anybody. Like, you can't talk to anybody until after the detectives have talked to you. I'm like, what do you mean? Like my family, there has been a couple times like there was a phone call through the room, but they wouldn't let me answer it. I'm like, man, like, there was one cop that actually answered it. They're like, look, we can't let you guys talk. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it is. He's on a blacklist. Like, you're not even supposed to know he's here, you know?
Right.
And it was just like, so I'm like sitting like 2 days just wondering, like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? I can't even tell my family that I'm all right. Like, they don't know. Like, they just seen on the news that I got shot, and that's it. Like, they won't tell them anything or nothing. Like,
Yeah.
so a couple days go by, and like, they're wanting me to get up and try to move around. Well, like, I'm not. Like, I'm in excruciating pain. Like, I'm trying to get up, and it's like, there's something wrong. Like, so they unbandaged me, like, checking me out, and they're like, no food, no water, like, you got to go back to surgery. I'm like, for what? They're like, whatever I had going on, it was just like, they ended up having to put a drain back tube inside my wound to like it was just like an infection, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they had to go rush through another surgery. I sat there. I ended up sitting in the hospital for a week, and I had 3 surgeries. And like on day 7, they were shipping me from the Truman Hospital downtown to the downtown jail, and it's just like a complete shithole. Like, there's metal bunk beds, and it's just like, it's nowhere that you want to spend any time. And it's like, I'm in like a wheelchair, like getting rolled, you know what I mean? Get on that bed, and it's just like a metal frame, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting in here, and I gotta wait until the investigators come question me. And so it's like getting shot, you know, just taken to the jail, and it's like, man, just get me to the county, please. Like, get me a normal bed, let me get something to eat. Like, it was just like miserable. Like, I sat like 2 days there waiting, and finally, like, they shipped me over to the county jail. I'm back in jail with a parole violation, with a new case, and it's just like it was a pretty low point, you know what I mean? But when I finally got to the county, I was able to have my family come, you know, up and see me, you know, and it was just like, I remember like I get wheeled into the visiting room, and it's like my old lady sitting on the other side, and it's like at this point, like right before I got locked up, like we found out that she was pregnant with the 3rd kid, like, so it's like, we weren't even used to having 2 kids, you know what I mean? And now we got another on the way. I'm locked up. Her dad's is gone. You know what I mean? And like, this is all within like a couple month period that we're finding out all this. And it's like, I know at this time, I'm like, man, I'm not coming home for a while. Like, this is my 3rd time back to prison. I got a 40% minimum mandatory that I have to do before I'm even eligible to come home. You know, it's like, it just like, I just basically say, like, you're just gonna have to figure it out on your own. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you coming up here to visit me.
All right, back. Had to take a quick break. So at this point, you're going back to prison. You're going back for a while now. This time, you're telling your old lady, like, look, there's nothing I can do to help.
Yeah, at this point in my time, I'm thinking I got a lot to do. But man, I got so lucky. Like, I don't know if it was just to do with me being shot and me being more of a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I got staples, and I'm all bandaged up. You know what I mean? I've been put back together. So it's like, my medical needs are at high, you know what I mean? And it's like, I went to the county, and first 14 days I was put in like a solitary thing. Like, I was locked down for 23 hours. Like, I got out 1 hour, and that was to take a shower, and I could use the phone for 15 minutes. And just because I had open wounds, and you know what I mean, I had staples and stitches, like, they didn't want me. I couldn't be in a general population or anything like that. Get all
infected and dirty.
Yeah, so like, I'm just stuck in here, like, with nothing but my thoughts and just me, you know what I mean? Like, every few hours I might hear a knock at the door for them to bring my food, but it's like it was a real eye-opening moment, you know what I mean? Just like, everything had happened so quick, you know what I mean? Like, it was a difficult situation, but I only did like 18 days in the county. Like I went to court, and as soon as I went there, they were like, well, we're going to do a speedy deposition of your case. Like, we got overcrowding of the system. Like, I'm at downtown Jackson County. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a white boy that's got gunshot wounds, and like, we just need to get this bitch out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, like, they had like a handful of us all go to court at the same time, and they're like, we're just going to get this all done with the whole time. Like, everybody's like, for real? Like, everybody was kind of shocked, you know? Well, like, the lawyer, it was like a public defender, he comes back to the office, and he's like, hey, Grass, I need you. I'm like, all right. And he's like, they're offering you 2 years. Do you want it? I'm like, yeah, I want it. Like,
fuck yeah, I want 2
for real,
years.
like,
Hell yeah.
Like, I had like 27 months left on parole. So then 2 years, like, it doesn't even really affect my situation, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, that's what gets me out of here, you know? Like, 2 years is fine. So like, we go in, and it was like an assembly line for court. Like, we had like I think there was like 11 of us or so. Like, there was a handful of us, and like they were like just reading, like they have to go through all their things that they have to go through when you're being sentenced, and like it was just like he would read it like, all right, you say this, you say this, you say this, and like, and it was just trying to get everybody out of there. Like it was weird. Like I'd never been in a court situation like that. But like 18 days and I'm back on my way to prison, like, and it was a little different this time. Like when I went there, like since I had a case and it had weapons and everything involved, like they bumped my custody level up to like a 4. So like I'm back down in diagnostics with all these killers, you know what I mean? Like everybody that's got a little bit of time to go do. And they sent me to, I did like 3 months in diagnostics waiting to be shipped out, and this time they sent me to Cameron, and like it's totally different. Like when you think about prison, like this stuff you see on like the locked up shows, like this is prison, you know what I mean? Like it's a level 4, like everybody's got time to do, like they've either been doing time, like they got at least 12 years.
Do they feel resentment towards guys that have like lower sentences,
well,
like
yeah,
2 years?
it's like, well, you know, like you shouldn't even be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and for like somebody like
You're
me,
almost seen
you
as
know what I
an
mean? Like,
intruder.
yeah, like for me, it wasn't so bad, but like for other people in that situation, you know, like if there was like a shipment coming in or whatever, like you're a pawn to them. You know what I mean? Like when I got to this prison, like it's totally like filled with gangs, you know what I mean? Like it's the definition of being in prison. Like, and it's like, you know, like you got a certain statue you got to carry, you know what I mean? Like you got people watching all the time, and it's just like, it's like mental warfare, you know what I mean? Because it's like, just you got people preying on people 24/7. It's just looking for a moment of weakness, you know what I mean? Like every Tuesday and Thursday, you got new inmates coming in. They do transfer days, you know what I mean? People leaving, new people coming in, and it's like people going grocery shopping there, you know what I mean? Like you see some guy carrying their bags just a certain way, like I'm going after that one tomorrow, you know what I mean? And it's just, for me, like I'd already been locked up. Like people knew who I was. Like they knew what area I was from. Like I already had some people that had been at the camp. So like for me, it was just like a welcome home party. Like, you know, I got people here. Like I already know how prison it goes. You know what I mean? You're either the sheep or the wolf, you know? And I got kind of like lost in it, you know what I mean? Like I was in a dark place. Like I knew I wasn't going to come home. Like I'd just been shot. Like, and like I didn't have anything going for me. Like I didn't have any money from the outside. Like I'm living on state tip, like $7.50. Like that's enough to buy like your hygiene stuff, maybe a couple stamps to write home. Like I don't have no phone time. Like it was just like, and like before, like I always had somebody I could call or
Put money
you
on
know
the
what I mean?
books,
Like
yeah.
maybe get a $20 here or there. But like this time I was on my own. Like my family wasn't dealing with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't want themselves to hurt. Like for them to just stay out of the situation, then they don't have to, you know what I mean? It don't hurt them anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it was just like a dark time. Like the only way I was going to survive is just to do the shit that I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like I had to be a wolf, you know what I mean? And like prey on individuals. And it's just like, I got kind of lost, you know what I mean? Like I really didn't see me like coming home anytime soon. It was just like, it was a dark situation. Like, but after a while, like it just kind of got bad. Like the people that I was with, they were all like gang members, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
and this is, I told Brian I might ask you this. So I mean, when I think of prison and you guys are in gangs, this is like the white supremacy. These are the blacks stay together.
Yeah.
It's segregated.
It's for real. Like
so
when
you have to play that role.
When they got like 2 chow halls, right, where everybody goes eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they got a white side and they got a black side.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like when you go to eat, it's totally different. Like you're in a different world. You know what I mean. Like for me, there's white gangs. There's like the all white gangs, white
right.
power and all that. You know, and then you got the other gangs that they're all white, but they'll still mix with people. You know what I mean. And it's just like these people aren't going home. They don't have anybody on the outside. You know, like the people they do have on the outside is maybe some hefty chick that he's just getting money from, telling her sweet things, you know what I mean, just to get a couple bucks. And it's just like, these are career criminals. You know what I mean? Like, the people I was, I don't know, on the yard with, you know, like, I wasn't really involved in the gang. Like, I wasn't a prospect or nothing like that. But, like, all the people that I was around were in a gang. And, like,
You have to.
You weren't in a gang,
play
but you
nice.
fucked with them.
you got to play, you know what I mean? You got to play the
You
game.
can't fucking
You know
be
what I
like,
mean? Like,
I'm a solo.
yeah, if you're the solo guy, like, eventually that's the way it is. Like, you're in a small, secluded situation, small population. Like, people, at some point in time, they're going to see a moment of weakness and they're going to attack. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's what it is all day, every day. It's like, I never lived my life. Like, I was a meth addict, but it's like, I was paranoid the whole time because you really never know. Like, maybe you seen this guy on the outside and you did him dirty. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or
I
this.
was about to say, what's the reasoning for like these attacks? Just because you see a weakness, like they?
I mean, it's just like, well, like, if you don't have any money, but you see this guy come to the store and he's got a big bag, you know what I mean, every week, and it's like, all right, well then let me get some of that money, then, you know what I mean. And if
you don't, then I'm
and if you're
fucking
not,
you
you know what I
up.
mean, like, then we're in a fight about it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just something
Alright.
simple like
Gotcha.
that. Like, it can be minute. You know what I mean? Just, I've seen the craziest shit just over nothing. You know what I mean? It's just, but that's just the way it is. It's territorial. It's prey. You know what I mean? And it's people that have to attack and survive. Like, and with the gang shit, and it's like you're a team. You know what I mean? Like, so you're recruiting people all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you see this guy, he's out working out on the yard. Like, well, maybe we could use him for this or that. You know what I mean? And it's just all, it's like chess. You know what I mean? Like, who your players are, and it's just, it's a different environment. But like, whenever my Carly was born, like, it was, I had a call home. You know what I mean? You know, yeah.
They didn't let you out because I know sometimes they'll let you at least
No.
be there for the.
No. And it was like, she was born in like December, like right before Christmas and everything, and it was like it sucked. You know what I mean? Like, I was never a real good dad before. You know what I mean? But like, I had always been there for my kid's birth. You know what I mean? Like, I did stuff for my kids. Like, I was there, but it was just like the epitome. You know what I mean? Like, you're at the low. Like, you got to call.
Now you're completely absent.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to call to see how the kid's doing. Like, they see if the kid was even born. Like, what are you even gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, you got to wait a minute just for the lady to tell all about a collect call before you can even get to talk to anybody. And it's like, man, like, when I started realizing that, like, I just knew, like, the people that I was around, like, I'm in a level 4 prison. Like, if I come back, like, I'm gonna be here. Like, this is what my life has become. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I had so much going on for me on the outside. Like I remember it was probably like 6 weeks before I actually got to see Carly. Like, I had to put her on like a visiting list, and, you know, like, she had to be approved and this and that before she was even eligible to come up to see me. And like, the people that I was around, like, there was this guy getting out of the hole, and like, they wanted me to take him out as soon as he got out of the hole. I'm like, no, dude, like, there's no way.
You're like, I'm seeing my daughter.
Like, I'm about to go to this visit on this weekend to see my kid. Like, there's no way. You know what I mean? And then like, that kind of stirred up some shit for me, because it's like,
didn't like that.
you know what I mean? It's like, no, like, that's not your family anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you're in here, like, we're your family. And it was just like I went through a little bit of shit for that, and it was like finally they kind of realized, like, look, man, you don't need to be in here doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, you got kids out there, like, you got short time anyways. Like, you're just gonna add more problems to your situation. Like, just do you know what I mean? And like, for me, it was like the best thing. Like, a few weeks later, I got my like actual out date, like, for my parole violation. So like, my level dropped. Well, in this prison, it's like a 3 on this or a 4s on this side, and then they got like work release and everything else on the other side of the prison.
Way more.
So like, well, you'd think that like, I get moved over there, and it's just like, you got some guys that are getting ready to go home, and it's like, they don't want to go home. You know what I mean? So it's like, there was, and like, the COs and everything else on this side are like a little bit more relaxed. Like, it was just different. But like, when I got over there, I kind of focused on just working out, like, doing my time. Like, I didn't have much to do. Like,
did you know anybody over on that side?
I had a couple buddies that I'd been locked up with before. So, I mean, it was just going over there and I just kind of got my shit together a little bit. Like I got enrolled in like this plumbing program. They had like a VOTEC thing. So like I did this for like a few months. Well, then like the teacher that was doing it, he ended up was going to do something else. So like they closed the program down, and like I started working in the kitchen and like working out every day, and like that was just like my thing, you know what I mean? Like that's how I was doing my time. Like everything was going by smooth. Like I was getting pretty close to I had to do another one of those treatments. Like every time I went to prison, I had to do this like 3-month program before I got out. It's like behavior modification.
Yeah.
And I mean, they talked a lot about substance abuse and everything. Like, and I ended up going there. I got transferred, and they took me a little bit early. Like, I wasn't supposed to get out until like August, and I wasn't supposed to go to the program until like May. Well, they ended up taking me to the program in like February. So I'm looking like I got 3 months left, and it was just like, it was kind of like I got to get my shit together. You know what I mean? Like I've been wilding out, like I'm getting close to the door, and it was total opposite of what I was like when I was in prison last time. You know what I mean? Like when I got to that program last time, I was ready to just wow out because I was getting close to the door. Like this time I was freaking out. Like I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't even prepared. You know,
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it was just like it's a total different adjustment. You know what I mean? Like from being on a prison yard and then going to this program where I got to tuck my shirt in all day long and wake up at 5:30 and I can't lay back down till 10:30, and I've been doing whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I kind of took the program really serious, and like I did everything I was supposed to do. Like they had like you had people that were in charge. Like you had a senior of the wing, assistant senior. Like I just I did what I was supposed to. Like I ended up being like the senior of the wing, so I'm in charge of like 35 other dudes in this wing. Like, you know what I mean? Like trying to keep them accountable, and it was just like it was a different situation for me. Like, and like I just, when I got out, like I wanted to do right. Like I knew what was going on the streets. Like my old lady wasn't doing good. Like, and I didn't tell anybody about my date getting, because at the time, like I really wasn't for sure if it was going to happen or not. They don't really tell you until like 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'm doing this whole 12-week program like 10 weeks ago, and they're like, all right, well, your out date's going to be May 31st. I'm like, all right.
Holy
you know what
shit,
I mean? And
yeah.
like everything's getting real then. So I'm like, I'm telling my mom, I'm like, because we still had the same little house that we were living at before I got locked up. And I'm like, telling my mom, like, well, we got to figure out how to like get my old lady out of there, because I knew she wasn't doing good. Like she wasn't in a good situation, and like I didn't want to go back to that, you know? And so like my mom's like, well, you can just stay here for a little bit and then we'll worry about it from there. So like when I got out, it was crazy. Like my mom had brought Cadence up, and
How old is she at this time?
man, she was about 6.
Okay.
She was about 6, and it was just, I remember seeing her standing outside the fence, and like she had this little curly hair, and it's like for once, like I don't know, like it was like I just knew stuff was gonna be different this time. Like I had the drive to want to do different, you know what I mean? And like I got out and I stayed with my mom. I went down to the house, and I told Jesse, I'm like, look, man, I need to live here, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to do right. Like I want to come back to my house, you know? And she was like, all right. Like she was cool with it, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, that was kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like she didn't even fight with me about it or nothing. Well, and the whole situation was like the lights were getting ready to get shut off. You know what I mean? The water was getting ready to shut off.
Yeah.
Like the house was a complete mess. You know, like her and her mom had been living there, and it's just, it wasn't what I left to, you know what I mean? And I come home, and like me and Cadence are down there like trying to clean stuff up, throwing stuff away. And like she's like, I gave her the keys, and she's going like to open it up, and she's like, Dad, the lights won't turn on. And I'm like, well, maybe it's just light bulb. I go change the light bulb. The lights are out. You know what I mean? It's like, it was like a.
Here, you can keep going.
I wanna so you go in, water's off, lights are off. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise to get out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you take your girl with you, right?
Yeah, I got my daughter with me.
Okay.
And then so like I got a job like immediately after I got out. I got this job at Lake Donovan. It's like a little church resort. Like they have like church camps come there. And well, I got a job cooking, and I got up like when I was at that program. I had to get up at 5:30, like I said before. Well, like I had to be at work at 5:30, so I'm like, this works great. You know what I mean? Like I'm
right
already
back into my
like
shit.
I already got the same routine. Like I'm doing what I was doing in there. I'm cooking, and like for a while, like I got out, and like my mentality was just to do right. But like at the same time, like when I came home, like the house, like I got people coming by, you know what I mean? Like just ready to see me, like just wanting to get me high, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I got grenades just coming at me all day long, and it's like, and it was difficult. Like you're from a small town, once somebody hears you're out, you know what I mean? And like when I was gone, like my house was basically a drug house, you know what I mean? Like my old lady didn't stop getting high, you know what I mean? Like it's just it lasted for a little while. Like I got enrolled in some school. I got enrolled in some classes at Maple Valley, and I did good until about October. You know, I got out May, and I did good till about October. Like the job that I had was seasonal. You know, like it's a summer camp. You know, like once it starts getting cold and the fall, like they don't have that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they don't have any time to bring a bunch of kids or families out or anything like that. So like I really wasn't prepared for my job stopping, and like I didn't really have any other plans. Like I started struggling, you know what I mean? And it didn't last very long. Like I couldn't find a job. Like like I needed help, so me and my ex, we got back together, you know what I mean? And like we got two people that don't have a job, like like I got one car, she's using it to go here trying to figure out jobs, you know what I mean? And it's just like you got two people trying to figure it out, like you know what I mean? It makes it hard, and we were together. We got back together for all like the wrong reasons, you know what I mean? Like I needed somebody to help me with the kids, and like at the same time she was in a bad situation and she needed a place to stay, you know what I mean? So it's like we were in a good situation, and it's like it was like November, the gaskets shut off. It was like right before it got cold, so like the gaskets shut off. Well, it was all right. That's cool. Like we got electricity, like the whole upstairs that we had was heated by electricity. So like we're all upstairs, like me. I've got 3 kids now, you know what I mean? Like we're all stuck upstairs. Like her mom was living with us and she ain't got no job, it was just the next month goes by and we still haven't got a job, and they turn the water off, and I'm trying to find like help to get paid, like assistance. Like it's like Christmas time, you know what I mean? It's like right before Carly's first birthday, and like the cops, it was like the day after her birthday. It was like on the 13th or something. I still got the piece of paper at home, but like the cops were beating on my door a couple days before, and I'm like, I had somebody call me like, hey, the cops were down there when we weren't home. I'm like, well, I don't know what they would be there for. Like I haven't done it.
Like, yeah, you
doing like
illegal shit.
And well, like the cops come again, and like they're knocking on the door, but this time we're home, and I'm like sitting up in the upstairs, and I'm like, I'm not going to answer it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what they're here for. Like I don't know if it's
I don't have good experience.
You know what
with
I mean?
answering
Like if it's
doors.
some old case or what, you know what I mean? But like, so they leave. They're knocking at the door for like 20 minutes. They know we're home, like, but they finally leave, and I noticed something that was on the front door. So like I go down there. Well, like the city had found out that there was no water, there's no gas. Well, you can't have a house with no utilities, you know what I mean? So like our house has been condemned, you know what I mean? Like they're telling us we can't live there anymore. And it's like 2 weeks before Christmas. It's cold outside, and it's like, dude, like I just felt so like, you know what I mean? Because I was doing what I thought I needed to be doing, you know what I mean? Like I got a job, but like it got quick, you know what I mean? Like it just, I had kind of like a pity party, you know what I mean? It's like I was doing this right, doing that right, you know what I mean? But like the thing is, like bad shit is always gonna happen, you know what I mean? And at the time, like I didn't understand that, it was just like the poor me shit, like, and we packed all our stuff up. We stayed at a couple friends' house, and finally we found someone that was, they're like, well, you can stay here for a little bit, you know what I mean? Try to get your stuff figured out. Well, we stayed there for about a month, and within that month, I got a job at Chili's, and it was like a couple days later, I was calling like to homeless shelters, and I finally got a hold of this one, Crossroads Salvation Army, and they're like, well, do you have a job? I'm like, yeah, I just got one. Like, I just did my final interview the other day. Like, I start work next week. And they're like, well, can you pass a UA? And I'm like, yeah. Like, and for like the first time, like I'd been on probation and parole for, since I've been 16. And like, I was either pissing hot or I was cheating on the test. You know what I mean? And it was like, well, you can come up here and do an interview tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like me and the old lady, we drive up there, like we got everything packed in the car. Like, I mean, the car is completely full of all our belongings.
You guys are ready to move up in this.
Like, we'll go there and we do our little interview, and they're like, well, we have a bed open for you. Just make sure you can pass your UA. And I'm like, all right. They give us the cups. We go to the bathroom, like coming out, like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, and like, I'll never forget, like, they're like, well, you can't have any food or anything like that, but you guys can bring your stuff in, we'll take you down to your room. And it was just like, man, like, I remember walking in there, it was just like, we've been homeless, bouncing for about, 2 months at this time. And it's like, to have our own place, and it's like, we don't have to worry about leaving, like, we can stay here for a little bit of time.
To get back on your feet,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, when you don't even know where you're going to sleep at night, like, how are you supposed to figure out, like, your job? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I don't even know. Like, I'm surviving.
I'm trying. Yeah, I got to live first.
I don't even know where I'm going to stay or nothing. So it was like, and dude, I remember, like, making my bed for the first time. I was like, I laid in, dude. It was like the most comfortable bed I had been in, like, at the time. It was like one of those, like, foam mattresses or whatever. I'm laying in there. And, but we ended up staying there for about a month and a half. And, like, we weren't ready to get our own place. Like, we hadn't really saved much money. So, but like, we didn't want to stay in this, you know what I mean? Like, we were in Independence. Like, Cadence wasn't really able to stay with us. Like, on Sunday nights, I would have to take her to my mom's house because she's still going to school in Excelsior. So, like, I don't get to see her until Friday when I can pick her up from school, and then she can stay on the weekend. Well, like I said, we weren't ready to get our own place or nothing like that, but we got enrolled in this place called Hillcrest Hope, and like, after that, it was like a game changer. Like my whole life since I've been 17 when I moved out, like, I've been in a hole trying to dig myself out. Like, I was never able to, like, just get ahead, you know what I mean, to where I'm at a stable position and actually live life. Like, this place actually did that for me. Like, they gave us an apartment for like the first 90 days, like, no rent, you know what I mean, fully furnished. Like, but they make you go to all these classes. Like, you're doing stuff 24/7. Like, you got to be here. You got to work this many hours. You got to do budget meetings, like, for me, like, I never even knew what budgeting my money was like, know. So it was all different, you know what I mean? It was all, and plus you had to be sober while you're there, like, you had to take random UAs, and like, they kept you on your toes, like, that's what I needed. And we did like the 3-month program, and like, they ended up having like an aftercare program where you pay rent. I'm like, well, that's what we need to do. Like, so then it was like another 6 months that we got to do. Like, by the time we left there, like, we were actually able to live, you know what I mean? Like
stable
functioning,
adults,
you know what I mean? Like, we'd been in this place for almost a year. We'd already been, we were at the other place for like, 2 months. So it's like, we've been working, and like, for us, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't got no trouble or nothing, you know what I mean?
Huge.
Yeah, it's
It was,
huge.
yeah.
Life-changing.
And we got our first apartment. We stayed there for a few months, and then like a few months after that, we got a duplex. But it's like, everything has been going, pretty much uphill. Like, I'm not gonna say like I haven't had any hard times since then, but like, that program is like what changed. You know what I mean? Like, I was actually able to get ahead in life, and like, I haven't had to look back since that place. You know what I mean? Like,
Nice.
and it's just like, that organization is so helpful. Like, and it's just, it was a blessing. You know what I mean? And I actually wanted to do it. Like, I thrived in there. You know what I mean? Like, when I was in prison and doing this and that, like at the time, like that's where I felt like I belonged. You know what I mean? Like that's the lifestyle I lived, and but like when I got to doing all that, like it was just like I don't know, that program like pushed me. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, I actually feel like I belong in society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I kind of figured it out. So and it's just been an uphill battle since then. Like, well, it ain't a battle. You know what I mean? It's been all uphill, but I mean.
Kind of how life goes, though. All right, we're back. Third Parts of Charm. So you went through the Hillcrest Hope program. You're back on your feet, essentially, at this point. You're living life like a normal, upstanding citizen, right?
Paying my taxes and everything.
Paying taxes and everything.
Grown folk stuff.
How long are you sober at this point?
At this point.
Well, have you been sober since then?
Yeah. So whenever whenever we got into the homeless shelters, the Salvation Army Crossroads, it'd been sober, and it was about February of 2013. So I'm creeping up on 5 years right now of being sober. Very nice. By the time we got out of that program, you know, it had been already about a year, you know. We'd been sober for about a year, so
yeah.
That's big. How do you so you're out of this program now. Your life's, I mean, you still have to live life, but it's a lot better than what it was.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like a new experience every day. Like, you know, like I never been sober. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's all been like
learning as you go,
learning kind of experience. Like the first year was kind of weird. Like I'm just. You know, like you're always running into people, old people, and it's like you never know when you're gonna have that moment of weakness. You know what I mean? Because it don't take but seeing the wrong person at the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you see him having a good time, and it's like, man, maybe this once. You know what I mean? Like I can just dibble or dabble, but like after the first year went by, I was like, man, like I need something in my life. Like I said earlier, like. When I was in prison, like I felt like I belonged there, you know what I mean? Like the people, like I didn't have a family anymore. Like those people were my family. And then like when I got into Hillcrest, like I had another family. Like these people were my family. But like when I got out of there, it's like you don't have these people anymore, you know? Like I'd went about a year and I just knew that I needed something in my life because it just being sober, going to work every day, it was just like there was no excitement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was happy to be sober, you know what I mean? But like I needed to be working towards something. Like I just felt like I was just, you know what I mean? I wasn't going anywhere. But I was getting ready to turn 30 and like, you know, like I've always had, like I've been a fan of MMA and like I had when I was a kid I wrestled and like I never really lived up to what I should have been. Like my senior year, like I made it to state my sophomore year, made it to state my junior year, and like I should have been placed in those years, but I didn't. You know, my senior year I should have won state, you know, but I didn't even make it to the state tournament because I got involved in the lifestyle that I lived, you know. Like I had just wasted, you know, 10 years of my life. Like I'm getting ready to turn 30 and it was just like, I guess like a midlife crisis, if you can have one at 30, but
yeah.
I just knew I needed something in my life. And like, whenever we were in the homeless shelter, like I said, if I can make it this long, like I'd like to train, you know what I mean? Like do some kind of MMA or jiu-jitsu. And like, that's when I looked up the gym and, like the closest gym was Glory North.
Nice.
And like, at first I was like, man, like it was crazy because like, when I was in prison, I remember watching Zach Cummings. You know what I mean? He was on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so that season was on while you were in
that
prison.
season was on.
Wow,
like
all
when
right.
I was getting ready to get out of prison, and like I remember like just seeing this dude like he's fighting for the UFC and like he's fighting out of Kansas City. I was like, man, that's so badass. Like to me, like this dude's like the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like we got this guy from, you know, and like
fucking made it.
You know what I mean? Like in prison, the only thing you really got is yourself and the people that you're from, your town or whatever, you know what I mean? So everybody just kind of clicks together. So it's like, for me, it's like, you got this dude from Kansas City and he's on the, you know what I mean, UFC. Like, he was so badass to me, you know what I mean? And like, whenever I seen like, this is what his gym, I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like, it was just like, mind blowing to me. You know what I mean? So like I did like the 3-class trial, and like I was just hooked. You know what I mean? Like I did a Muay Thai class, I did the BJJ class, and I did one of the Glory Fit classes, and I'm like, man, I didn't want to do the jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? I was a wrestler, and like, you know, when I was locked up, that's what I did. Like, I would watch fights all the time, and it's just like, I'd see them dudes, and I'm like, man, if I could just get my shit together, like, that's what I'd want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I spent years, you know what I mean, struggling, you know, either with my addiction or being in prison, like watching fights, you know, from the outside. And it's just like, I'd always try to picture myself, like, especially when I was in prison, like, that was like my escape, you know what I mean? Like, I'd watch fights and I'd work out, like, that's how I did my time. But like, I was just like, man, I want to be able to do that. Like, and it, like, for now, you know, it, like, I started out, and I did like jiu-jitsu for like a month. I started in August, and they had a tournament on October 1st. I'm like, I'm doing that tournament. And like, I went and did the tournament. Like, they screwed up the brackets, so like the first match I had, they had me going with like a blue belt, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, but at the time I didn't know, you know what I mean? I'm just like, he's a white belt, whatever. So we go out there, and like, it's like a 10-minute round. We'll like
So this is like a submission only.
Submission only,
Yeah.
exactly. It was submission only, and it was up by like the KCI Expo, and like our match is like 8 minutes long, and I got the guy in like a Kimura, and like I hear his arm kind of pop. I'm like, oh shit, like, and I won. You know what I mean? Stand up. They raised my hand, and it's like, man, it's been so long since I got my hand raised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, I instantly fell in love with it, like. Because it's like, man, for a lot of years, like, I beat myself up just because of the decisions I made. Like, my wrestling was like one of my first loves, you know what I mean? Like, I did it since I was a kid, and it's like I let myself down, let a lot of other people down. So it was like, when I got my hand raised that one time, it was just like, dude, like, it's been like since my senior year since I felt that, you know what I mean, that good, you know what I mean? And like, had my family there, and like, I was hooked. Like, I went back, like, that's what I started doing. Like, I did like four tournaments within like the first year or whatever. Got my blue belt, and then it was like, let's try this MMA thing. You know what I mean? And it was just, it's what feeds me my fire right now, you know. And it's like it's hard for me not to realize that I'm on the right path. Like when I first started coming, you know what I mean? Like, I was struggling, you know what I mean, to make my monthly bill, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a cheap sport, you know what I mean?
it's
But
not.
But like, at the same
especially
time,
too, like training with like Zach and James and all of them, like that's the top tier. You know?
you're at the you're at
You're
best
at the
spot,
tippy-
you know
yeah,
what I
you're
mean?
training
Like,
with some
there
of the
you
best
can't
guys,
you can't get any better, you know. And it's like, at first I was like struggling, you know what I mean, to make my bill every month, but it's like, dude, I love this shit. Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, that's my priority.
Yeah,
like,
you're
I
like,
gotta,
I'm gonna
I'll
make
suffer
this.
on this, you know what I mean, just so I can come here and like, you know, there was a little bit of time where I was having a hard time paying the bill, but like, Zach calls me, he's like, hey man, where you been at? And I'm like, you know, I'm having a hard time. He's like, well, I got some work that we can get you lined up with. I'm like, all right. He's like, we're buying a new building. I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? And so we come
you
in,
like fucking, you did a
built this
lot
thing,
of this
dude.
shit. Dude.
yeah, and like that there is like, I got so many victories like in life right now. Like when I come into the gym, like the first thing I see is like the desk. You know what I mean? Like when I come in the
All the
gym
shit
every
that you
day, it's
built,
like
yeah.
I see Matt, I see Zach chilling behind the desk, and it's like, I built you guys that desk. You know what I mean? Like it's just, for me, like, it's mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like
Paneling
when I
behind
come
the
in,
TV,
like
all that
when I
shit.
come in, it's like I seen I did that and I did that, and it's not just this gym. Like, I was able to actually work at the other gym too, and it's like, you know, like for me, like the first time I ever seen James fight, he was in the WEC. I was in prison. The first time I ever seen Zach fight, I was in prison. But now it's like, on a daily basis, I can go train, you know, on the same mats with these guys.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like the life I get to live now is like the shit that I used to dream about just to pass my time. You know what I mean? Just to escape the reality that I was living. You know what I mean? And it's like Zach's last fight in Milwaukee. Like, I got to sit front row. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to sit in the front row and watch this dude when I've been sitting on a bunk in prison watching. You know what I mean? It's just like hard for me not to realize that I'm doing the right path. You know what I mean? Like, I keep on looking on better days. Like, my kids are involved in the sport now. It's like the whole sport of MMA, like, even when I was an addict, like, just the thought of, man, I'm going to get my shit together one day, and that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like, that kept me, you know what I mean, halfway level for, you know what I mean, some years. So now to be able to do it, it's just all kind of surreal. Like I remember, like, my first cage fight, like, man, if I win, I'm jumping on top of that cage. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, you know, like, I wasn't being cocky or nothing, but it's like, you have no idea. Like, there's been some times that I was just sitting, you know what I mean? Like, I was in hell, but like, I was watching TV and I would see somebody, you know, win and jump on the cage, and it's like, man, if I ever had the opportunity to do it, that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
your support system, man, has just like grown over the years too, because like,
it's
the
crazy.
people around you, they want you to win.
Yeah.
Like, not just like MMA fights. Like, we want you to win at everything.
Yeah. Well, then that's the thing. Like, man, I got, like, there was times in my life where I couldn't even afford a 30-cent ramen noodle soup. You know what I mean? But now I got people buying a fight ticket from me for $30. You know what I mean? Just to come see me do something that helps me be a better person.
The shirts, everything.
Yeah,
you got
it's
a whole
like,
crowd
you
going
know,
fucking
I
nuts
buy those
for you.
shirts. Anytime you have a shirt.
It's like, I come in the gym and it's like, you see people wearing a shirt that says your name, and it's like, whoa, man. It's just like, how did I get here? You know what I mean? And it's like, I know how I got here, but it's just like, man, you never know. It's like, I've been through some difficult times, and it's like, you know, there's a lot of people that'll probably be listening to this, and like, they know they were there when I was in those difficult times, you know, and like, they seen me on the outside looking in, and it's like, you know, for a lot of years, like, nobody had any hope for me, you know, like, I didn't have any hope for myself, so like, how can anybody have any hope for me? But, you know, like, everybody sees, like, you know what I mean, like, I might not notice it because it's just, I'm doing what I have to do to survive, and that's to stay busy. Like, you know, like, I juggled being a dad with 3 girls, you know what I mean, on my own, to working, to training at the gym, you know what I mean? Like, but that's what I got to do to survive. Like, that's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me, you know what I mean, wanting to be a better person, you know what I mean? Like, I went from not even be able to control my life to where I can go 8 weeks and follow a diet and a workout routine, you know what I mean? Like, I had no control over myself, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't even make it a couple days without being higher and shit, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just all crazy, you know what I mean? Like, but MMA gives me that want to do better, you know what I mean? It makes me want to watch what I eat. It makes me want to, you know, just be a better person, you know what I mean? A better dad, like I said at first, like, man, like, I know what it's like to not have your dad and like wonder where the hell he's at, you know what I mean? And like, I know what it's like to have a good dad, you know what I mean? It might not have been my biological one, but I had a good dad, you know? Like, I know what it's like not to be a good dad, but like, at the same time, like, I'm figuring out every day what it's like to be a good dad, you know what I mean? And like, that's what, like my kids just started competing in wrestling, like, like, it just feeds me, like, seeing them out there and like, they're having fun, and it's like, it just means the world to me, you know what I mean? Like, to see them actually liking that, and it's like, and it all this kind of started, you know what I mean, just from some crazy shit when I was in prison, you know what I mean? Like, just to help me get by at the time, you know, like,
dude, it was the coolest thing yesterday whenever I came into the gym. So like, we sat down and recorded part 1 with you on Tuesday. And then yesterday I come into the gym and I walk over to the back by the mats, and you're on the mats with Caden's practicing some wrestling shit. And then the other 2 are over in the fucking gym area, like, doing their own workouts and whatnot. It's like you working out with all of your girls, and I just come back to Matt and Zach at the desk, and I'm just like, it makes me so fucking happy that there's people in the world like that, man.
Yeah, man, it's just, and I haven't always been a good person, you know what I mean? Like, I can't ever get the time back that I lost, you know, like, I know that, but like, I got plenty of years to make it right, you know what I mean? Like, I might not make it as far as I'd like to in the sport of MMA, but like, I know whatever's going to happen for me the rest of my life is going to happen within the next, you know, 5 or 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, I love being at the gym, you know what I mean? Like, I would do anything for anybody there, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just, I feel, you know what I mean? Like, that, the gym gives me that sense of purpose, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I belong there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when I come there, like it's home. You know what I mean? It's the family that I've been missing. You know what I mean? Like when I grew up, I had a pretty big, decent family. You know, but over the years, like everybody grows apart. You know what I mean? And it's like you lose that little family. You know, but here it's like I always got family. You know what I mean? Like I got kids, and you know it's just crazy that people actually like me even be sitting here talking to you guys about my crazy ass life story. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm trying to put into words the nonsense that I lived into something that makes sense. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy how everything has kind of unfolded, and you know like a lot of people that have been in my situation, like they're not ever gonna get out, and I understand why after being through it. And it's like it's hard, you know what I mean? Like once you go down that road, like to get back, like you're losing family, you're losing time, like you're probably losing more brain cells than anything, you know what I mean? And it's like once you go down that road, it's hard to get back to normal, you know what I mean? Even living in society, it's just, you know, like, and for me, like even when I was a kid, like getting high, like I didn't know it was gonna lead me to this thing, you know what I mean? Like I lived 10 years of hell, you know, but now it's like just over in a few years of, you know, putting the work in, it's like I could see like everything that's in front of me. It's like, man, it's like it's just at my fingertips almost, you know what I mean? Like I know for me, I always just tell myself it's just I'm in line waiting for my time to cash in, you know what I mean? Like, you know, something's good's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Whether it's I find a career doing this or that, or, you know, like I just know the path I'm on, like everything is gonna work for the best towards my future, you know? So
well, I want to say because I have to wrap it up, unfortunately, but I just want to say you're fascinating. Congratulations, and it's really inspiring the way you've turned your life around, because a lot of people don't get out of that, and I know people from back home where I live never did get to see. They never made it to their 30s, you know, because of their addictions or the lifestyle they were living. So, you know, there's nothing but up for you as long as you understand that, you know, you are not your past, and you don't need me to say that. You understand that, but you know, mad respect for you, brother, and damn good job coming back, and you have wonderful kids, and I can't wait to see where their careers take them, and they have such a long life, but they are very, very fortunate that their dad will be a part of their life.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. Let me ramble on for hours at a time.
You were one of the, like when we were talking about it, you were one of the first people, man. Like you taught me like one of the most important life lessons, and that's just like not judging a book by its cover. And like I had always been told that, and I thought I understood that, and until I met you, I never experienced it, because you were like, you're an intimidating looking guy, you know. And whenever I first encountered, like, you're quiet, you're to yourself, you know, until you get to know you, and then you're open, you know. So at first I was just like, that Nick guy, he looks kind of shady, I need to stay the fuck away. And then like I started to get to know you, you're a fucking cool ass dude. And then I started to get to know your story. I'm like, holy shit, he's been through hell. Like, I feel guilty about judging you based off the first time
I put myself through hell, but it's at the same time I got myself out of hell. So yeah, I mean, just, you know, like hearing people tell me all the time, like, man, you helped me get sober, you know, you helped me do this, and it's like, for me, it's like, it's just mind blowing. It's like, you know, I never thought I could help anybody, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't talk about my story, you know, a lot, you know, but maybe I should, because it helps a lot more people, you know what I mean? It helps more people than it hurts, that's for sure. And it's like, you know, like I run into old people all the time, and like, man, like, you helped me out a lot, you know what I mean? Like I see you doing good, and that makes me want to do good. And like sometimes I can see that they're full of shit, you know what I mean? Like if your face is still sunk in, like, bro, you know what I mean?
Obviously,
you know what I mean? But like at least for that couple minutes that you're around me, like at least you want to have good intentions of being sober. Like at least it like plant
there's
a seed.
Positive connection.
You know what I mean? Like it might plant a seed or something for down the road. But you know, like I'm just happy where I'm at. Like I just want to keep on doing right, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to see how far I can take it, you know what I mean? Like, I know how far it can get bad, like how far it gets when you go bad, you know, just to keep it rolling, keep it going.
Well, I'm happy to see you on the path that you're on. I'm happy to have met you, and that you're doing right by you and your girls now, man. So I appreciate the hell out of you for coming on the podcast too. You're always welcome. Whenever you want to come on, you let us know. You can come on whenever, man.
Because we need to have you back. Talk about your fights.
For sure.
You know, and there's so much more to your story. You know, I still got a bunch of questions, but I mean, I think we got the gist of it, of your redemption, man, and keep going forward. And next time we talk, we'll talk about you knocking, motherfuckers out. and
having fun with it.
Holds for you, man. So thank you for coming on. That's Nick Grass. Hey, never give up. You can always come back.
Make sure you follow my boy Nick Grass on Instagram, DBLNNBJJ.
Yes.
DBLNNBJJ.
And we'll make sure I want him to recap his fight next time he has a fight coming up, because we know he's gonna fight this year. And
Nick's fights are exciting as fuck. They're don't miss fights. Yeah. Like no matter what, like it's either gonna be a war or Nick's gonna be putting someone the fuck down right off top. And like either way, it'd
be entertaining.
Yeah, you're entertaining.
Be worth it.
No matter what. Anytime you got a fight coming up, I'm always there, dog.
So thank you, sir. And
thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you, man.
All right, guys.
Peace out, brother.
It's off the mat. Bye.